Did this young boy commit a foul?
He came up and he kicked the car. He then said, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?"
Lamont, back up here.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Cheryl Brown is suing her neighbor, Lamont Turner, for damage caused to her car when his son kicked it.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 359 on the calendar in the matter of Brown versus Turner.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Okay, so I'm going to create a visual from the papers that I've read. Miss Brown, you and the Turners live in the same community.
Yes, ma'am.
And are these your two boys?
Yes.
How old are you?
11.
And you?
9.
What's your name?
Lamont.
And the boys play, and they play in the street in front of your house, and sometimes they sort of spill over into your yard. Based upon what I'm reading here, you've found that annoying because in addition to playing in front of your yard, sometimes they deposit trash there. You know, they'll eat an ice cream or a candy, and with the wrapper ends up playing basketball. And Lamont left his basketball in your yard.
Yes, ma'am.
You had enough. You took the basketball and you took it inside.
Yes.
You were pulling out in your car. Was that the next day or the same day?
Well, can I?
No. Next day or the same day?
It was several days.
Several days later. Was it just Lamont and his brother, or there were other kids around too?
There was several other kids.
And they said, "Do you have that basketball?"
Who came to my car was Lamont and another kid.
Okay, so Lamont and another kid came to your car and said, "Do you have our basketball?"
Yes, ma'am.
And you said, "Yes."
I have several balls.
He said, "I want it back."
Yeah. He said, I want it back, and you're going to give it to me.
Well, first he said, "I want it back." No, he wasn't fresh. He said, "I want my basketball."
No, he was fresh.
Not at the beginning. He wouldn't start out being fresh. That's not common sense.
They came to my car, they knocked on the window, and said, "You have our ball. We want it back."
And you added, "And you're going to give it to me," because that's the fresh part. You have that basketball, and I want it back. That's perfectly reasonable. The other part was not, and I couldn't ascribe that to an 11-year-old. As it happens, he didn't say that to you, because that's not what you told me just a second ago when you revised your statement. At the beginning, you said, "You have that ball, and you're going to give it to me." And that's different from the second statement.
Okay.
Then you say, that's why we're here.
Okay.
About the kick to your car. You, up here. Lamont, did you think that I was just harsh with Mrs. Brown?
No, ma'am.
You didn't?
No,
I
ma'am.
did. So, after she took the basketball inside, who told you she had the basketball?
She did, because when she was coming down the street, we said...
In the car?
Yeah.
She was in the car.
She said, "Get out the street." And we wasn't even in the street. We was up in the driveway. And then we walked up to the car and we said, "Can we get our ball back?"
Just a second. I want you to tell me exactly what you said to her and what she said to you.
I said, "Can I get my ball back?" And she said, "No." And then I was like, "I'm going to get my daddy." And she said, excuse my language, can I say exactly what she said? She said, "Go get your daddy."
So, did that make you angry?
Yes.
Did you kick her car?
No, ma'am.
Who kicked her car?
No one.
Somebody kicked her car. I believe what you said to me so far, but she's going to show me pictures of her car. You're a little boy. You can't do that much damage. So, really, she cursed.
Yes.
And what did you do when she cursed?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No. I went to go get my daddy.
Okay. Go sit down. Exactly what he said you said to him? And was it that point that he kicked your car?
No.
When did he kick your car?
Since they were all in the street, I went over to the crowd of boys and girls. I asked where he stayed. They wouldn't tell me. And then someone yelled, "He lives around the corner." So I went around the corner. I was knocking on doors to try to find out who his parents were.
Why?
Because it had to be somebody in the neighborhood.
Why?
Because I needed to talk to his parent.
About what?
Because he was disrespectful.
He was disrespectful?
Yes, ma'am.
I actually think what you said to him was disrespectful.
Well, I never said anything about his father because I didn't know who his father was or where he was.
I know you didn't know it.
I never
That's
said
not
any...
Okay, so you were going around the neighborhood to try to find his parents because he said something disrespectful to you. I want you to tell me what he said that was disrespectful.
That we want our ball back. So I wanted to talk to the parents.
Well, that's not disrespectful.
Well, I felt disrespected.
Well, I don't care what you felt. I'm telling you, it's not disrespectful.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Now you're going around to try to find out where his parents live.
Yes, ma'am. And they wouldn't tell me. So when I came back from knocking on the door, I said, I'll give you $5 if you tell me who his parents are. They said, we don't rock that way, quote unquote. And then at that point, as I'm sitting in my car, he came up and he kicked the car.
Okay.
Then one of the other boys restrained him because he then said, what are you going to do? What are you going to...
Of what you allege he did to your car.
Okay. This is the car as it looks. This is the damage to the car and the door. There's also a police report with him admitting to kicking the car.
I'd like to see that, too.
And also his statement about...
Bird, would you tell me what this is a picture of?
Miss, where is the damage?
It's this right here.
Okay, Lamont, listen to me. Back up here. I'm going to give you a lesson that hopefully is for the rest of your life. You either lied to me today or you lied to the police when you spoke to them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because you couldn't have told the truth both times because you told the police that you kicked the car. And you even told the police why you kicked the car. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you remember telling the police why you kicked the car?
No.
You told the police that you kicked the car because Brown called him a little boy. That's a quote from the police. So either you were lying to the police or you're lying to me. You want to tell me which one it is?
I lied to the police because
Well, that's not a good thing to do. Now you can go sit down. First of all, Miss Brown, I actually don't understand the whole problem with young people playing in the street or playing on grass or maybe dropping a ball on your front lawn.
May I speak to
You
that?
actually stole his property.
No, ma'am.
No, I'm telling you, that's not a question.
Oh, it is?
That's not a question.
I-
That's what I'm saying to you. When you deprive the owner of property of their property,
Yes, ma'am.
and you do so with any sort of restraint, and you did so by taking it and moving it into your house, it's a larceny. Just listen to me.
Yes.
That's the law.
May I speak to that? Again, this is not the first time.
I
There have
don't
been several
care.
balls left in my yard, along with trash left in my yard. They would leave their jackets and everything in my yard. I would pick it up and bring it inside. I had several balls. So again, I'm not sure what ball was his or not. But again, with me having to pick up and clean up trash out of the street, plus with them playing ball in the street, it is a hazard because I've lived there 16 years. I've seen a kid get hit, and I was asking them nicely. I've spoken to parents nicely. Please don't let your children play basketball over a two-lane street. That's the reason.
No. You took his property, and if you didn't know who it belonged to, you had the responsibility to return it to him, seek to find out who his parents are. You can do that. But what I'm telling you is when you hold on to someone's property and refuse to return it to them, it's a larceny.
Well,
I don't care it's a well.
I didn't larceny
You're not a
anything.
lawyer. Are
I
you a
cleaned up
lawyer?
my yard.
Are you a lawyer?
No, ma'am.
I'm telling you, it's a larceny. It's the same thing. Let's say it wasn't a basketball, and it was a 4-carat engagement ring that you found on your lawn.
Yes, ma'am.
And you took it, and you took it inside. And the person said, oh, gee, I know I dropped it. It had to be here. Came up, knocked at your door, and said, do you have my 4-carat engagement ring? And you said, yes, I do. It was on my lawn, and you can't have it back.
But I had several balls.
I
So,
don't care.
I mean, a 4-carat
Now
ring
you're
is
playing-
totally different than
you're-
several balls.
You're playing with me.
No, I'm not playing with you. I'm
you're
telling
playing
you
with me.
exactly.
That
If it
doesn't
was a-
excuse Lamont from kicking your car. And he kicked the car because either he lied to me or he lied to the police. And what he told the police, he told closer in time to the event than now. Now
I
he's had
wasn't
time
out
to
there when he talked with the police.
I'm speaking. Now he had time to reflect. He had time to talk to his father, who probably got just as annoyed as I am with her, and say, uncross your hands. Because I know his father wouldn't like a liar any more than I like a liar. He lied to me. You wouldn't encourage your child to lie to the police, would you?
Right, I wouldn't even let him talk to the police.
He
if I
did
was
speak
right
to the
there.
police.
And so did he, because it's in the police
I'm not
report.
speaking to you.
Yes, ma'am.
They spoke with him when I wasn't out there.
I don't
So I don't
care.
know what was said.
I don't care. Your responsibility as a father
Right.
is to say to your son, if you told the police the day of this incident that you kicked the car because she called you a name, and that's the truth, you have to stick with that story. I'll take it up with Miss Brown, but you don't encourage your son to lie. Do you understand me?
I understand what you're saying.
Great. Now I will see an estimate of what it cost to fix your car.
I
Did
never
you-
seen the car, seen the damage. How do you know the damage wasn't there before that?
How do I know the earth is round?
For real.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
She actually said she would be available, but that I would have to start the process all over again, that my funds were non-transferable or non-refundable.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous.
Listen,
Yes, ma'am.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Cheryl Brown Turner kicked her car after she took his basketball.
you don't understand what I'm saying to you. I think that Miss Brown is 100% off base. They're kids. They're playing sports in the street. They're not doing anything bad for society. They're not doing anything illegal. They're playing basketball. That's what they're supposed to be doing at age 9 and 11. So I have no sympathy for her at all. You get that? He can't kick her car. That's not the response to something that you don't agree with. He goes home, he says to his father or to his mother, this lady down the street has my basketball and she won't give it to me. Then you go to her house and you say, you have my son's basketball. Tell me what the problem is. Do you understand how civilized people take care of their problems? And if you condone your son kicking her car in response to her bad behavior, that's inappropriate teaching. You got it?
I'll listen.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. We're done. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
My kids ain't the only kids out there. There's a gang, a lot of kids in the area, so
It's definitely about principle because he learned not to lie.
he say he ain't do it, and that's what I'm going with.
He should actually have told the truth at first, but I don't think we would have been here.
Peace. Everything is done and over with.
I hope for peace in the neighborhood, too.
Butler versus Clark. Step forward.
Makeup artist Alexandra Butler is suing Maisha Clark for a false chargeback on PayPal.
How long have you been a makeup artist, Miss Butler?
About 10 years I've been a makeup artist.
And when did Miss Clark contact you about doing makeup for her wedding, for the bridal party?
She reached out to me May 11, 2016.
And when was the wedding scheduled?
It was scheduled for June 2nd, 2017.
More than a year later.
Yes, ma'am.
And you entered into a contract with her.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a copy of that contract?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it. Do you have a copy of the contract?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see yours as well. Okay, so you signed this contract.
Yes.
And you sent her $905.
Actually, $931.65.
And then something happened and the date of the wedding changed.
Yes, correct.
Tell me when it changed to.
It changed from June 2nd, 2017 to October 29th, 2016. We had experienced a miscarriage, so we decided to move up the wedding to start our family.
And you called her.
I emailed her.
When did you advise her that you were moving the date?
Asked her if she would be available the date of October 29th, 2016.
Well, that's a short window.
Yes.
So she wasn't available.
She actually said she would be available, but that I would have to start the process all over again, that my funds were non-transferable or non-refundable.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous.
Listen.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
In the invoice that she paid, which is also another contract, it states that the
No.
deposit is not
Let me.
refundable or
Don't
transferable.
tell me what it says. Show
not.
it to me.
Sure.
I also have
Just
the...
shh. She's not going to be successful.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Makeup artist Alexandra Butler claims Maisha Clark filed a false chargeback on PayPal.
All right, so let's get it together. We have a contract and I don't have to waste my time any further on this. What happened was you had paid through PayPal?
Yes, correct.
And you contacted them and disputed the charge?
Correct. I disputed
And
the bank
PayPal
order.
looked at this contract, just as I looked at this contract, and said, there's no non-refundable policy in there. The only thing that you put in the contract is, because it's so far away, more than a year away, if you can get her another makeup artist. If for some reason you're not available. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You didn't turn down another appointment for that date?
Actually, I did turn down a lot of appointments
Just a
for
second.
that date.
Well, prove
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
First of all, your contract doesn't
Well,
say
in
that
the
you can
invoice
keep
she sent, in the
the
invoice that I sent to
contract.
her. Correct.
The contract that
Correct.
was signed
Correct.
doesn't say anything about no refund.
Correct. However, in the invoice that she paid, which is also another contract, it states that the
No.
deposit is
Let me.
non-refundable or
Don't
transferable.
tell me what it says.
course
Show
not.
it to me.
Sure.
What you are relying on.
I also have
Just
the...
shh. She's not going to be successful. She's not going to be
states
successful.
right here.
But I'm
that the
going to
deposit
let
is
her
non-refundable
show
or
me
transferable.
the invoice. Okay. I don't even have to look at it. Listen to me carefully. This is not a contract. This is a contract. This is signed by the two of you. You prepared the contract.
Correct. Yeah, that is correct.
She signed it. You show me her signature here, anywhere.
Well, her payment to the contract.
No.
Her payment to the invoice is actually
Listen
due
to me
something-
carefully.
Yes, ma'am, sure.
You prepared the contract. Let me give you a brief primer as to what the law is.
Sure.
The person who prepares the contract, if there is a dispute, since you look at that contract most favorably to the other side,
Correct.
because you prepared the contract, your contract doesn't say non-refundable, period.
I have a question.
But if you can demonstrate to me with names, phone numbers, addresses, contracts that you gave up on that date, I may be sympathetic with you because even though it was not written, she did not give you adequate notice and you actually had an out-of-pocket loss.
I have a question.
But I guarantee you cannot prove to me today that you had an out-of-pocket loss.
question.
I said, I guarantee you cannot prove an out-of-pocket loss for a period of time, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, 10 months away. I guarantee it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
If you're a good makeup artist, in 10 months you can find
great
somebody
makeup
else to do a June wedding.
Correct.
Okay. She gets her money back. $931.65. She's got it back? You have it?
Yes.
You don't get it. Because it was taken out of your PayPal.
Well, that doesn't make sense to me, only because the invoice that was paid, it was an understanding through her because it
Just a
states
second.
that.
Ask me to view the operation of her mind. I don't have to do that. You have a contract. It's a written contract. It sets the terms of this agreement. Nowhere in the agreement does it say the contract has a non-refundable deposit on the day that it's paid. She paid you and then got an invoice. You lose. You don't get the money back. Redo your contract. Put in your contract that somebody signs that this is a non-refundable deposit for this particular day. And if at any time you cancel, you lose your deposit.
That's what's said in the contract part of the invoice.
This is not
It
a
says
contract.
It says contract.
This-
it says policies
I
on
don't
the
care
invoice.
what it says,
It
your
says policies on
policy.
the
I don't
invoice.
care if it says that this is your religion. I don't care if it says that this is what your mother taught you or your father taught you. This is your contract. This is not.
Okay.
Good.
That's a receipt?
Good. You don't get your money. Bye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Well, now I'm going to make sure I include it. I'm going to make sure I include a whole lot of information so that I don't get screwed again
I think that Alexandra's practices are a little deceptive.
because of people that don't read their invoices.
Given that in the contract, nowhere stated was the money non-refundable
It's time to move forward.
or non-transferable. Only on the invoice after I had paid.
This is just one glitch that happened, and I'll move on from it.
After you had this argument with your brother on the phone, he vandalized your house.
This sister found it.
The TV was cracked, and you can hear and see the water dripping from it.
A friend witnessed it.
Explain to me what you saw him do to the tires.
Took the knife and poked the tires.
Flattened her tires.
Yes, ma'am.
but brother denies it.
This is an ex-friend of mine, and they done linked up. I guess they're against me.
Somebody else did it. That's what you're suggesting.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Shafia Bryant is suing her brother, Richard Blake, for vandalizing her apartment.
Order. All rise. It's case number 405 on the calendar in the matter of Bryant versus Blake.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Mr. Blake, I'm going to ask you some questions first. Plaintiff is your sister.
Correct.
And I assume that you had, prior to the 18th of December of last year, of December, she let you use her home to make a party.
No, we ate crabs at her house, but we didn't have a party.
Who ate crabs at her house?
Me and my kids.
It's just you and your children.
And her best friend.
But she wasn't there.
Correct.
Okay. So you and your children, how many children?
2.
And a friend of hers?
Yes.
Oh, you said in December, this is what you said. In December, I hosted a crab dinner at her apartment. So I assumed it was, when you say I hosted, I usually don't put it that way when I have 2 of my kids over for dinner. Now, you weren't living at her house at the time?
No.
Okay. And there was some sort of an argument. And the argument took place on the phone with your sister because she wasn't in the apartment.
Correct.
And the argument had to do with something stupid about your eating some Halloween candy that belonged to one of her kids. That's what the genesis of it allegedly was, this argument that you had, that you came across some candy in their house when you were there, you had some of it, she made a big deal about it, whatever. I don't care about the argument that happened in October. But you got into another argument with her on the phone.
Correct.
On December 18th.
Yes.
Did you call her or did she call you?
She called me.
And what did she say to you when she called you?
She asked me what happened between me and my daughter, the altercation in reference to some candy.
Just a second. So going too fast for me.
Okay.
What happened? We were at the crab dinner?
Yes.
So something must have transpired between your daughter, who was how old?
23.
23, and the plaintiff. Maybe they texted each other. Is that what happened?
She called me.
She called you from your house?
She'd already left my house at that time.
So the dinner was over, but he was still there?
Correct.
Is your niece here?
No, she isn't.
Okay. And you had a conversation with your niece?
Yes.
And then you called him?
Correct.
What did you call him to talk to him about?
The altercation between him and my niece.
What did you have a fight with your daughter about?
The fight was reference to the candy. Her friend held up some candy, and I said, I'm not touching it, that's a setup. So by this time, my daughter, she pretty much started laughing real hard. So I asked her, I said, why you laugh like that? Do you know about this candy? She said, yeah, you ate all the CJ Halloween candy. I said, so do you believe that? So she would never answer me. She would never answer me. I said, do you believe it? She said, it's not that serious. I said, well, your aunt thinks that it's that serious. I'm asking you a question. So she got mad. She was already frustrated because my grandbaby was crying, and she was texting back and forth. And something else inspired her to, to come at me the way she did. So by this time, I said, come on, let's go, let's go. She grabbed the baby and was ready to leave. And so my son and then I stood up, and I told her, come on, get out of my sister's house. Come on, right now.
So you threw her out of the house?
No, she was already leaving.
I know, but you said she was upset she called her aunt.
Yes.
Okay. Now what was a nice dinner that you were hosting, a crab dinner, all of a sudden became not a nice thing anymore.
Correct.
About this stupid Halloween candy. Then it is your claim that after you had this argument with your brother on the phone, he vandalized your house.
That's correct.
Did you see him do it?
No.
No. Do you have a witness that saw him do it?
Yes.
Who was that witness?
Diana Cannon.
Were you there that evening with him?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to tell me what happened?
They went to go, was fussing back and forth. Richard got the water out the thing, put it into the TV, hit the TV, and went in the room also with the water. But I didn't go in the bedroom. I sat on the couch.
What water?
A pitcher of water.
What did he do with the pitcher of water?
Poured it in the TV.
Poured it in the TV?
Yes.
In the front, back?
The back of the TV.
Did you say anything to him?
No.
Why?
Because he was already enraged and had anger, was fussing and stuff, so I didn't say nothing.
Did you leave the house?
No, because he was my ride.
So you rode home with him?
I actually didn't go home until after he flat her tires.
After he what?
Had flat her tires after that.
Flattened her tires?
Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't go home with him?
After he flattened the tires, then I went home. He took me home.
Explain to me what you saw him do to the tires.
He got out the car, took the knife, and poked the tires. Flat 3 tires.
Her tires?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask him why?
He said because she had sent it on the other end of the text message, had him highly upset, and he was enraged, so he spazzed out.
Do you have those text messages?
No, I deleted everything, all the communication between him and I out of the phone.
What did you find when you got home?
I got home maybe 20 minutes after my phone conversation with him. I found that my front door was left open, propped open with the chair. The TV in the living room was cracked, and you can hear and see the water dripping from it. The TV in my bedroom was knocked off the stand, and water was poured into that as well.
And what about your tires?
It wasn't until after the police left and I went to leave my house that I noticed that the tires were slashed.
Can I see the police report?
Yes. Now, the police report doesn't... oh, I'm sorry.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
John, when I left the house, Diana was still in the house. When I left, she didn't leave with me. I left by myself, and once I got off the phone with her, I just left. I was so mad and upset because she was intoxicated. She's a belligerent, so I just left. I was very upset, and I left. I never did none of these things that she's saying that I did. I left out of the house. And then as far as tires, I never knew. A friend of mine called me and asked me about this situation. I never knew that damages and stuff was done at her house.
So that's
This is an ex-friend of mine, and they done linked up to be best friends, and I guess they're against me.
Listen, sir, on the 18th of December, you had a furious argument with your daughter, and it was all about plaintiff's son's Halloween candy. Whatever frustrations you had at that time are consistent with the vandalism that happened in her house on that night, because this report was taken that same day. So what you're suggesting is that some elf, pre-Christmas elf, came down and destroyed the 2 televisions and flattened the tires. That's what you're suggesting. Somebody else did it.
I don't know who did it, but Deanna was still left at the apartment. She could tell you better. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. I was gone.
Anything else? Anything else? No. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. We're finished.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Somebody else vandalized. She lived in one of the
Extremely frustrating.
dangerous neighborhoods in D.C. Anybody could have done that.
Because that's my brother.
She already stated that I left the door open, which is true.
Shocked.
Because I was upset with her, but I didn't vandalize it.
A war zone.
But from my understanding, she don't want one with me, but I want one with her.
I understand.
Want her to know I love her.
I'm not sure right now.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mitchell versus Lawson. Step forward.
Nathan Mitchell for stealing his cat and giving it away.
Mr. Mitchell, it is your claim that the defendant gave away your cat. You want to be compensated for that, along with a lot of other things. You know the defendant because you both are truck drivers, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You drive for the same company?
Not anymore.
Did you at the time that you made this arrangement with him to watch your cat?
No.
So you became friends at a company and then you moved on. Who left the company?
Matthew.
Okay. There came a time that you wanted to go to visit your fiancée. You were going to the Philippines.
Yes, ma'am.
For a 3-week period.
Yes, ma'am.
From when to when?
April 10 to May 1st.
And you needed someone to watch your cat for those 20 days.
Yes, ma'am.
You originally hired somebody, according to what I read, but that person backed out. At the last minute, you needed somebody to take care of the cat, and you contacted Mr. Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date did you contact Mr. Lawson?
April 8, 2016.
And he agreed to take the cat?
Yes, ma'am.
And you agreed to pick up the cat on May 1st or May 2nd, when you returned?
No, we made an agreement for him to bring me my cat.
Or to bring you your cat. On what date?
The agreement was May 7th.
Well, that's much after you returned. Why May 7th?
May 7th was because I'm a truck driver. I just came back from the Philippines, and I didn't have a truck at the time, and my cat was traveling with me over the road. So Matthew and I, we were in communication the whole week.
Just a second. From the 10th to May 1st.
Right.
According to your complaint, that's what this whole issue is about. According to the complaint, you paid him $200 to watch your cat while you were in the Philippines.
Right.
But you came back from the Philippines on May 1st.
May 2nd, I came back.
No, you were going, you said, from April 10th to May 1st.
Okay, I'm sorry. May 1st is when I landed at Tom Bradley International Airport. I missed my flight, and I had a next flight the next day.
Okay, so you missed,
Phoenix,
just a second.
Yes.
So you missed your flight.
Yes.
And came back the 2nd.
Yes, ma'am. And
Did you notify Mr. Lawson that you missed your flight and you were coming back on the 2nd?
No.
Why not?
because my phone died in the flight, and I didn't have a charger at the time. So when I came back to Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, they have a cell phone port where you can actually charge your phone up. And that's when Matthew and I started our conversation.
On the 2nd?
Yes.
And do you recall what that conversation was?
Yes, I do have the chat logs.
Go ahead. Tell me what you said to him and what he said to you.
Our conversation was he welcomed me back to the United States from the Philippines. That whole entire week, we were making...
Not the whole entire week.
Okay.
All I want you to tell me is what was the conversation on May 2nd. Now you're home. So I want you to tell me, because he has a different story.
Right. Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
You're back a day late, and you call him a day late when you get a port to plug in your phone. And story, whoever I believe wins this case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're a responsible pet owner, and somebody is doing you a favor. I don't care if you have to walk there. You walk there and get your cat.
Your Honor, he agreed.
Just a second. How did your cat get to his house?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nathan Mitchell says, former friend Matthew Lawson stole his cat and gave it away. Matthew has a countersuit for pet supplies and lost wages.
Now, you're back a day late, and you call him a day late when you get a port to plug in your phone, and you say to him what? And he says to you, he's going to tell me a different story. Whoever I believe wins this case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Go.
I came back May 2nd.
You don't think of what you're going to say. Just
Okay.
tell me about the conversation.
Our conversation
you called
was,
him.
Our conversation was we were making arrangements to for him to bring me my cat.
You want to tell me what the conversation was? May 2nd.
May 2nd, I did not hear from him, Your Honor. I did not hear from him for about a week and a half after.
He's going to show me a phone chat. Can I see it?
It says, "Hey, brother."
No.
Oh, okay.
I want
Here
to
you
see
go.
it.
I want to see it.
I got the whole thing. You were irresponsible with your animal. You were in a financial bind. You needed to work because you were in the Philippines for a month and you didn't have money. You had a lot of trouble with your phones. The phone charger died at the beginning. Then you got 2 new phones, and the phones didn't have service, so you could only look on Facebook, so you couldn't get in touch with him. And now we're talking about, from May 2nd, we're talking about June 9th. And he texts you early on, and he says to you, "Hey, bro, I'm doing you a favor, but we're expecting a baby, and I have to go out on the road, too. And my fiance can't change the litter box because it's dangerous for pregnant women to be around cat litter." That's what he says to you in here. That doesn't seem to inspire you.
Your Honor, he was supposed to bring me my cat on the day that he agreed.
Well, your cat is with a nice lady now, and the cat went with a nice lady the beginning of June. So I suggest if you want a cat, you get another cat. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
If you're a responsible pet owner and somebody is doing you a favor and says, "I'll watch your cat for 3 weeks," and then you have other life's problems that you're trying to visit on somebody else, whether it's my dispatcher couldn't get me a job coming through your area, I don't care if you, and get your cat.
Your Honor, he agreed.
Just a second. How did your cat get to his house?
He drove from Sierra Vista, where he lives, to pick up my cat.
That was very nice of him, right?
Right. And I did pay him for that. I paid him $200 to...
Just a second. You paid him $200 in cash in April. April to May, May to June. This was June 9th that you had this conversation. So let's say 2 months, 60 days. That's $3 a day. That's $3 a day. Outrageous. I actually think it's outrageous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This person responded to the ad?
She contacted me through a message.
And did she come over to pick up the cat?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you know how old the cat was?
I believe she was 2 years old.
Pretty cat?
Oh, she was beautiful, yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nathan Mitchell says, former friend Matthew Lawson stole his cat and gave it away. Matthew has a countersuit for pet supplies and lost wages.
Does your fiance have the baby?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
Oh. What is it? 8/7?
August 7th.
Yeah. Oh.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Everything okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. When did the lady come and take the cat?
It was on June 7th, Your Honor.
And how did the lady come to find the cat?
Summer, my fiance, ended up finding an ad on Facebook, doing an ad on Facebook. Go ahead.
I went ahead and I posted on Cochise County Animal Connection. It's a group on Facebook, basically to rehome the animal because I wasn't able to care for her anymore.
This person responded to the ad?
Yes, ma'am.
And she gave you her name, phone number, etc.?
She contacted me through a message. I went ahead and gave her my telephone number, and she called me.
And did she come over to pick up the cat?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have her name?
I don't. After the woman came to pick up the animal, since it was basically closed, they removed the ad from Facebook, so I don't have any of her contact information.
Did you know how old the cat was?
I believe she was 2 years old.
Pretty cat?
Oh, she was beautiful, yes.
How long had you had the cat?
7 years now.
Oh.
7 years?
Yes.
Well, now it's got a new home. Got to be more vigilant. Okay, you have a cat for lost wages because you didn't take trips, because you didn't pick up the cat, and you couldn't leave your fiancée in her late stage of pregnancy.
Your Honor,
Listen to me, I'm not entertaining that. One of the things that I will tell you, Mr. Lawson, is that you took the cat while your fiancée was pregnant.
Yes, ma'am.
Not smart.
It was a 3-week agreement, Your Honor.
I
I'd have been
understand
home.
it was a 3-week agreement.
It was in my time frame to be home. I didn't expect to have it another 5 weeks, Your Honor.
You should have given it away before.
Your Honor, what I am going to ask for is I looked up pet setting. If you look at in the area, it goes from 25 to 55 a day.
But you didn't have a contract with him. I can't impose a contract when
Your
none
Honor.
existed, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, you took the cat while your fiancée was pregnant.
Yes, ma'am.
Not smart.
It was a 3-week agreement, Your Honor.
I
I'd have been
understand
home.
it was a 3-week agreement.
It was in my time frame to be home. I didn't expect to have it another 5 weeks, Your Honor. And what I did...
You should have given it away before. But you didn't have a contract with him. I can't impose a contract when
Your
none
Honor.
existed, sir. Listen, man, this is what you said here. I did you a favor.
Yes, ma'am.
And he took them the $200. You first took possession of the cat. Did you get any food?
Yes, ma'am.
A case of food?
Case of food, yes, Your Honor.
I just want to know what he gave you with the cat.
He gave me a small bag of food and a small thing of litter.
1 bag of food
Yes, ma'am.
and 1 bag of litter.
Yes, ma'am.
How long did that last?
A couple weeks.
Do you have bills for the pet supplies that you paid while the cat was in your possession?
Yeah, I did. I don't have copies of that.
Well-
What I did do was screenshotted here the prices of them.
No, I don't want to see prices. I need bills.
I don't have the bills on it.
Your
Did
case
a
is
favor, didn't
dismissed, Mr.
expect
Mitchell.
this. So,
We're done. Thank you.
Your Honor, one more thing. May I show you?
What?
This is my wages that I've lost.
Forget it.
No.
Why is that excused? You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I messaged him on Facebook, text message calls. He never answered.
He said in the message on Facebook saying that he was going to be there.
He would answer on Facebook once in a blue moon, and then he said, oh, well, my phone don't work.
May 7th at 8 o'clock in the morning to bring me my cat.
You know, I said, well, why couldn't you message me on Facebook if you're posting all day, every day?
I stayed, you know, for 2 hours.
2 days later, he said, hey, I got a car rental.
The whole purpose for this was because he never showed up. It's really heartbreaking for me because, you know, I rescued that cat from a home who was being...
When I told him I got rid of the cat, I gave him a set time, mid-May, hey.
You know, the cat was being tormented, you know, and, you know, but that cat was my life, so.
If you don't come get it by beginning of June, I'm getting rid of it.
Ever since, you know, I lost her, you know, I've been, you know, into shock.
If you love your cat, I mean, it was something you'd have make time for.
You know, it's really shocking because, you know, when we first met, we were really, you know, we connected, you know, and then, you know, 6 months later, you know, it's like, you know, here we are on the Judge Judy show.
You got an $18,000 check.
Yes.
Tell me what you did with it.
This mom couldn't trust herself.
I called my daughter and said, I received this check. Please come and take it from me.
Why?
Because I have a history of alcoholism.
Now she regrets trusting her daughter.
Most of the time she wasn't sober. She told me, you can use as much as you need for the wedding. You do not need to worry about paying me back.
That is a lie.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Penny Webb is suing her daughter, 23-year-old Shelby Webb, for stealing...
All rise. Now it's case number 422 on the calendar, the matter of Webb versus Webb.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Miss Webb, this is your daughter. Is your claim she stole $10,000 from you?
That's correct.
I'm listening.
Back in October of 2015, I received a disability settlement in the amount of $18,000. I have the copy of the check right here. Also,
Just a second. What's the nature of your disability?
I have COPD and asthma.
What kind of work did you do prior to 2015? And for whom did you work?
I worked for Great Lakes Management. I managed commercial real estate.
For how long? From when to when?
Wow, it's many years ago, Your Honor.
Well, I want to know what you did just prior to 2015.
Basically, I did nothing. I have no employment from 2000.
Who supported you?
The county.
So you were on welfare?
Yes.
What prompted you to go off welfare and on disability? Whose suggestion was that?
Mine. I couldn't physically do a job.
Well, you hadn't been working before. Do you understand what my question is to you? What prompted you to move from welfare to disability?
Because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't
You weren't
breathe.
doing anything. No, you're not following my question. And you were receiving welfare. Then you went and applied for disability. And initially, you were clearly turned down for your disability.
Everyone is, yes.
No, that's not true. I know that factually. Not everyone is turned down, but you were turned down.
Yes.
And then you hired a lawyer.
Yes.
And you appealed that determination.
Yes.
And when they appealed that determination, an administrative law judge with the Social Security Administration issued an award in your judgment, and you got the back money,
Correct.
which was $18,000. I know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
My question to you is, what prompted you to go off welfare and seek disability instead? Did a lawyer suggest it to you? Did you watch an ad on television?
No, I just decided myself.
Well, how many
I didn't
years?
want to be on welfare anymore.
Well, what do you think this
Disability is not welfare.
Okay. It is if you don't work.
I
if you
worked
don't
all
have a
my
work.
life.
Okay. All right, let's go. So you got $18,000. You got an $18,000 check.
Yes.
And at the time, you got an $18,000 check. Tell me what you did with it.
Well, I called my daughter and said, I want you to come and take the check. I received this check. Please come and take it from me because I don't trust myself.
Why?
Because I had poor choices prior.
A mature woman whose only problem is that they have COPD and asthma let her child take charge of $18,000 rather than putting it in a bank and monitoring it yourself.
Because I have a history of alcoholism.
Since when?
Since all my life.
That was in 2015. From 2015 until June of 2016, were you in rehab?
I was in rehab the whole month of May in 2016.
What about prior to May? January, February, March, and April?
I was not.
Was not. In 2015, after you received the check, were you in rehab?
No.
So from October of 2015 until May of 2016, you were not in rehab.
I was in rehab for 28 days of May in the 2016.
Prior to that, when were you in rehab?
On and off every year I was in rehab. I've been trying to stop drinking for many years.
So when you say you were in rehab, was this a private rehab facility or was it paid for by...
It was paid for by the county.
By the county. That was in May. It was paid for by the county.
That's correct.
Even though you had all this money.
That's correct.
So if you had had this money in the bank, would the county still pay your...
It is for my retirement.
No, the money in the bank is to take care of you, not for your retirement. The $18,000 was to pay you back for the months that you had been denied disability while your appeal was pending. It's not your retirement. So based upon what I read in your complaint, so now we're understanding who we are talking to. So we're understanding that I understand you and you understand that I understand you. So you took this, according to your complaint, this $18,000, and you got a money order with $10,000 of the money. And you gave the money order to your daughter to hold for you. You didn't put it in a bank.
That's not correct.
Well, okay, just a second. Hold on. Maybe I'm wrong. Cashier's check.
She was supposed to put $5,000 of that $10,000 into a CD savings, and that never happened.
I got a $10,000 cashier's check made in Shelby's name. She was supposed to keep it in her safe until we could decide what to do with it. That's what you wrote here.
And we made a decision.
That's what you said.
Yes.
Right. We opened up a joint checking account and savings account with the remaining $8,000. That's what you wrote in here. So she was supposed to take the cashier's check for $10,000 and put it away so that nobody saw it. And then, you could have given it to. What was the difference between giving her a cashier's check and letting her put the money in the bank?
She was told to put $5,000 into an account. I have an agreement that is unsigned that Shelby wrote. These were our wishes. Together, we agreed upon this. She did not follow any of these wishes. Now, unfortunately, the $5,000 was supposed to be put into CD savings. The other $5,000 was to be put into a savings account or a savings in her bank at home. And of the $18,000, I gave her $4,000 for her wedding. That was in June. I asked her if she needed any extra. She sure could have what she needs, but she has to pay it back. She's not paid it back, and she took all of it, because we wouldn't be here in court today if she hadn't taken it all.
You get a check every month?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
For how much?
$1,186.
And who do you live with?
I live alone.
Who is that?
That is my very best friend.
Where does he live?
He lives in the same building.
So the complaint is wrong?
Yes.
I mean, your complaint. Your deputy.
No, my complaint doesn't read that way that I saw.
Just a second. Could you show this to her, please? That's her signature.
Yeah, but of that $8,000, $4,000 went to her wedding.
And?
Well, that's what I'm trying to explain. I did sign this, and it is right. However, there should be more explanation, and there should have been.
2016, when you went into rehab, I assume you were drinking.
Yes, ma'am, I was.
You were drinking sufficiently so that you went into rehab, right?
They did an intervention, and I was forced into it. I agreed to it.
Who did an intervention?
Shelby.
Is that right?
Yes, my family and I did.
So I would assume that the situation was difficult.
Yeah, it was very challenging.
Who took care of all of your bills prior to you going into rehab?
In the beginning, Shelby took care of my bills, but she paid them all late. So I took the bill paying back from her so that I would pay my own bills.
Did you take your mother's money?
No.
Did you take your mother's money?
No.
Did she give you a cashier's check?
Yeah, I have it right here. She was in the bank. She gave it to me. I held on to it for several months until we were supposed to decide what we were going to do. We mulled around lots of ideas. I never committed to anything because most of the time she wasn't sober. And then standing in her rehab in Scandia, Minnesota, sober as a dog, I hope, she told me, you can use as much as you need for the wedding. You do not need to worry about paying me back.
Great.
That is a lie.
We're done.
That is a lie.
We're done.
Judge, I do have a counterclaim.
And that's done, too.
Okay.
All right, are excused. You may step out. Back to your right, please.
You know, I just think it's sad that my mom finally did something motherly for me after all her years of alcoholism.
Extremely difficult.
Oh, and counteract it like this.
Because it's my money. And it's supposed to be in my bank, not hers.
Well, I ended communication with her because she began drinking again.
For her to apologize. That's all I really want.
I think that she's upset about that. You know, I would be too, but life is life.
I don't give a crap about the money.
I've been asking myself that for 23 years.
I hope that someday she can see her error of her way.
Why I have to be her parent and why she can't be an adult and be mine.
She has not had to be the mother.
Well, I have no relationship with her and I have very little trust in almost everyone I meet.
It's broken it up quite a bit.
Stand up for yourself. Don't be afraid to.
My heart is very heavy for her.
Do what's right and know that you're not wrong and you don't have to be their parent.
I hope it'll work out. That's all I can say.
Time to go separate ways.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lewis versus Tully.
Christina Lewis is suing her daughter's former friend, 19-year-old Irene Tully, for money she loaned her while on vacation in Hawaii.
How old are you, Miss Tully?
19.
Do you work or go to school?
Both.
Where do you go to school?
Mesa Community College.
Full-time?
Part-time.
And what kind of work do you do?
I work at Starbucks.
Do you live at home or you have?
At home, yes.
And Miss Lewis, you have a daughter and friends for a long time.
Couple of years.
And she had accompanied you on family vacations before?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
This would have been the fourth, so 3 prior to this trip.
And she always paid for her own airfare?
When we flew, correct. minus one time. I did pay for it one time.
When did you pay for that?
I believe it was a trip to New York.
From where?
Chandler, Arizona. But we fly out of Phoenix Sky
So
Harbor.
it was a long flight.
Yes, ma'am.
Where else did you go with Miss Tully?
California, Your Honor, twice. And then...
When you went to California, where did you stay?
Huntington Beach at a condo that I rented.
She paid her own airfare?
There was no airfare. We drove. And I did pay for the gas.
Yes, you have other children other than this daughter?
I do. I have a son.
And did he accompany you on the trip?
He did.
Ever have any difficulty with her before, with expense money, anything else that would have given you cause to pause about inviting her again?
No.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your daughter and Miss Tully had a fight. What was the argument about?
I did not want to be friends with her daughter anymore.
That must have been after something happened.
I just decided that I didn't want to be friends with her.
What happened after you came back from Hawaii?
Real cases, real people. Her daughter's former friend, Irene Tully, owes for money loaned while on vacation.
Now, ever have any difficulty with her before, with expense money, anything else that would have given you cause to pause about inviting her again?
No.
And this case is about a trip that you all took, a family trip that you took to Hawaii. And Miss Tully was invited to go along. The arrangement was, according to you, that she would take care of her own airfare, which she did, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you book the tickets?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
And you paid for the tickets on your credit card?
Yes, Your Honor.
And she gave you money in cash to cover her ticket?
Yes. Her mother and father did.
You rented a hotel while you were in Hawaii?
Condominium.
A condo. How many bedrooms?
One.
And where did Miss Tully and your daughter sleep?
On the pull-out couch.
So they slept together. So
Yes.
she didn't have her own room, so she...
As well as another friend.
So there was no additional expense?
Correct.
With that. And food, how was that covered?
She was supposed to cover her own food.
Okay. And you brought money with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much money did you bring?
About $300.
How long were you going to be away for?
I believe it was 7 days, but we got stuck for an extra day, I believe.
Got stuck because of air?
Yeah, there was something with the weather flying out of Los Angeles, so we couldn't fly out from Hawaii to Los Angeles to get home.
Is that correct?
No, Your Honor. The trip was a 10-day trip. The 22nd through the 1st and 11.5-day trip.
Now, this lawsuit is all about the fact that your daughter and Miss Tully had a fight, an argument, kids falling out. When did you have that argument?
I believe it was in September.
September of last year?
Yes, Your Honor.
And when was the trip to Hawaii? In what month?
June.
When did it end?
July.
What was the argument about?
I did not want to be friends with
Why?
her daughter anymore.
Why?
Because I did not like the way that I was treated around them.
Like what? What do you mean?
There were just comments that were constantly made about the way that I lived my life and my family and the money that my mother earned, and I just did not want to be a part of it anymore.
And you told, what's Miss Lewis's daughter's name?
Bree.
Where did you have this discussion with her that you didn't want to be friends anymore?
I did not have a discussion with her. I unfollowed her on social media.
That must have been after something happened, Miss Tully.
I just decided that I didn't want to be friends with her. She went away to college, and I stayed home for college. We didn't have any contact. We didn't talk.
What happened after you came back from Hawaii?
We talked maybe once or twice because I went out of town with my grandparents and stayed with them for about 3 or 4 weeks and then returned home for school.
During that 3 or 4 week period, did either Miss Lewis or Bree contact you about any money that you owed them?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Judge Judy continued.
Had already made a discussion about the money and her paying me back.
Was that in a phone conversation?
A text conversation, correct.
I'd like to see that.
Yes, ma'am.
That makes it easy.
Oh, is that not what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah.
She told me to. I'm really sorry. I apologize.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christina Lewis says her daughter's former friend, Irene Tully, owes for money loaned while on vacation.
Now, what happened after you came back from Hawaii?
We talked maybe once or twice because I went out of town with my grandparents and stayed with them for about 3 or 4 weeks and then returned home for school.
During that 3 or 4 week period, did either Miss Lewis or Bree contact you about any money that you owed them?
No, Your Honor.
On what date did you unfriend her daughter?
I do not remember the exact date.
You remember the month?
I believe it was September. It could have been October, though. I'm not 100% sure, though.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it was in September. September 28th, I believe.
So now I'd like you to tell me, Miss Lewis, what you're suing her for is $375 because you say you went to some events while you were in Hawaii that you purchased tickets for, I don't know, dolphin shows or whatever else you paid for, and she was supposed to pay you back. I want you to show me when the first time was money.
I did not request the return of the money first. Irene contacted me because we had already made a discussion about the money and her paying me back, and she did let me know that she was going to Rhode Island with her family, so she wouldn't be able to start working again until she got home. Therefore, she couldn't start making payments until she was working, and I understood that.
Was that in a phone conversation?
A text conversation, correct.
I'd like to see that.
Yes, ma'am.
That makes it easy.
Oh, is that not what I'm supposed to do?
No.
She told me to. I'm really sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Well, you clearly knew before you went to Rhode Island that you owed her some money, because that's what it says here.
Okay, yeah, but I didn't. Okay. So we were supposed to go to Hawaii, and I was told.
Listen to me.
Okay.
You clearly knew based on this text, hey, I'm heading home from Rhode Island today, so can you send me what I owe you from Hawaii? That's what you wrote to her on Sunday, July 31st.
Okay.
So you clearly knew that you owed her some money. And at some point, she responds on August 10th, I added it together, and it was $375. And then you ask her for a breakdown. She gave you a breakdown. And some of it looks legitimate.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, did you go to a snorkel trip in a luau?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's $125. You don't dispute that. She paid for it, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And you did go to see the sea lions?
Yes, Your Honor.
And she paid for that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm taking off $20 for food because that's ridiculous. What's a $25 baggage fee?
I'm not sure, Your Honor. I paid for my baggage.
Okay. What's the $25 baggage fee?
Ma'am, she paid for her baggage one way, not the other way. She couldn't afford it, so she asked me if I'd add it to her total, and I agreed to.
Do you recall that?
I do not, Your Honor.
Well, she does.
Okay.
And what is $25 Yard House? What is that?
She was supposed to pay for her own food at Meals Out. I did try to make it easier on her because she was the only one that was struggling financially, so I went ahead and bought a lot of groceries at the grocery store and cooked many meals in the condo to save money.
So what is Yard House?
It's a restaurant.
Do you remember the Yard House?
Yes, Your Honor. I remember going to dinner there.
Okay. And did the plaintiff pay for that dinner?
Yes, Your Honor, but my meal was not $25.
I don't know what it was. $250 is that you had, and I've taken some off that I actually can't justify. But that's still $250.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay?
Okay.
Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
Excuse me, step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
No, I don't deny the fact that she paid for things. I just deny the fact that she asked for me to pay them back.
She's an emotional young lady. She cried quite a few times, complained about her finances.
I'm so thankful that I got to go and that my parents provided my airfare to go.
And I just didn't want that to be an issue. You don't get many vacations like this.
But I'm not happy that I went with them.
And I love doing for my family, so we were happy to do it.
She's just a really bad person, and she says things to people that don't need to be said to them.
I mean, she thinks I'm a terrible friend, but terrible friends don't bring you to Hawaii, so...
No, I did not want to be friends with her anymore.
Absolutely not.
I'm just very happy that it's over with and that I'll never have to see either of them again.
I hope that Irene starts to learn to be responsible and pay debts that she owes.
I was 17. I really wanted to see my mother, and I wanted to be with her. And
Rebuilding a relationship with Mom had a downside.
You allege that your identity was taken?
Now, a daughter is forced to rebuild her life.
How many counts of identity theft were you charged with?
I don't know, like 3. I just wanted to be with my mom.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
23-year-old LaChapelle Copes is suing her mother, Jesanita Copes, for stealing her identity.
Order. All rise. It's case number 418 on the calendar in the matter of Copes versus Copes. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat. You're welcome, Judge.
This is your mom.
Yes.
And it is your claim that as a result of her fraudulently using your identity, she's put you in substantial debt, your credit is ruined, and you want her to be responsible for that. That's what the case is about. How old are you, Miss Copes?
I'm 23.
Tell me what you do.
I'm a nanny.
Who do you live with?
I live with my stepmother.
How long have you lived with her?
Off and on. She basically raised me my whole life. I moved back with her when I was 20 years old.
Who had you lived with before you were 20?
My grandmother. And then when I was 17, I was living with my mother.
So until you were 17, you lived with your grandmother?
No. Before that, I was with my stepmom.
How long in total? You're 23 years old now. During what period of time, say after you were 10, did you live with your mother?
No.
You lived with her for a short time when you were 17?
Yes.
For how long?
For a year. I went to school in Sacramento with her.
What happened when you were 17?
So I moved in with my mother. We were currently homeless, but
who was homeless?
Me and my mother. We were staying at her friend's house because me and my dad had got into an altercation.
You and your father?
Yeah. So I ended up moving with my mother, and you know, I was 17. I really wanted to see my mother, and I wanted to be with her, and yeah.
Was it during that time that you alleged that your identity was taken when you were 17? And Ms. Copes, you've been convicted of fraud and identity theft, is that right?
Yes.
How many times?
Once.
When?
2 years ago.
How many counts of identity theft were you charged with?
I don't know, like 3.
Were you incarcerated at any time?
Yes.
For how long?
2.
2 what?
Years.
And that was 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
It's not an answer. Yes is an answer.
Yes.
Now, did you ever open any lines of credit or open any credit cards using your daughter's name?
No.
Did you ever sign a lease, a phone plan, anything using your daughter? Could you show me, please, Ms. Copes, one piece of proof?
I have an eviction notice in my name. Would you like to?
I see it, yes.
Sorry. It's a couple papers. And I also have sorry.
When's your birthday?
1993.
So in January of that year, you were 17.
Yeah.
And unable to execute a lease.
I'm not sure what that means.
You were unable to sign a lease. It's a contract.
Yes.
And based upon this lease, is that when you were living with your mother that one year?
Yes, it was.
Based upon that, because she didn't pay rent, they...
For 2 years, for a year, I believe.
They gave her a notice to quit. And is that one of the charges that's against your credit?
Yet, no. I have, Your Honor, I'm in $10,000 in debt, and
I understand that, but
it's other things. Sorry.
So this, although this is an example of her signing your name and obligating your name and your Social Security number to a lease when you were a minor, which she can't do. What other examples do you have for me? That's enough, by the way, but I'd like to see what other examples you have.
I have bills that she got in my name, like SMUD bills.
What kind of? For this apartment?
Yeah, but I don't believe this is recently, because I went to get a restraining order for a kick-out notice, because she had my identification, and I need to get evidence, and this is the only thing I found was a SMUD bill in my name. And I called them, and they said that
What other proof do you have for me?
And they
this
said
is 2012.
And they said that she called in and gave them my social, and they just turned on SMUD.
Can I see the fallout from these bills that you have in your name?
My credit report?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. This one's probably clearer. I have several of them. Let me give you this one, too.
Are you going to school? Do you work?
I'm trying to go back to school right now. I'm a nanny. I nanny for 2 kids.
How long have you worked for that same family?
For a year now.
How much do you earn?
$400 a week.
And you're living with your stepmother?
Yes.
Do you pay her any rent?
Yes, I do.
How much do you pay her?
Right now I'm on Section 8, so I pay her $100, and that's it.
$100 a?
$100 a month, and then they pay the rest for me.
Is she in your apartment or you're in her apartment?
I'm in her house.
And Section 8 pays her rent?
Yeah.
Well, how much do they pay for you?
They pay $800 because the cost of living out there was accepted for housing vouchers. And so I was looking for a place. I couldn't find a place, and my stepmother, she just welcomed me in and said that we can go through the process
I would
together.
too. She gets an additional $900 a month, which she used to give you for free, which is to live with her, right?
Yeah.
You
But
used
I was living with my grandmother when I got done with living with
No,
my...
I understand that. I'm just trying to see
Yeah.
whether it's very nice. She raised you, you lived with her and your father.
No, my dad, he's not around.
Was he married to her? Well, you said you lived with him.
Okay, so it was often, me and my dad had a bad relationship. It was really bad. My stepmom, she took me in. She was like, I'm a woman. I need to take care of her. She's becoming a lady. So she's been taking care of me my whole life. And then she's always told me, like, she always tried to keep me away from my mom because she knew what was going on. But I was so rebellious and I just wanted to be with my mom. But her and my dad are not together. She just took me in as a daughter.
What is this auto sales?
Oh, so that I tried to go get a car because I wanted to do Uber and stuff, and I couldn't get a car
because of your credit.
Being young, but I really found out that my credit was really messed up when I went to go open a bank account for Chase, and they just closed my account and told me that I couldn't get a bank account with them due to my credit. And so I went on credit report and tried to figure out what's going on and seeing bunch of these bills. I also called them because they've been building up to the point that the credit billers collected it.
Was any of this debt reduced to judgment, do you know?
Not sure.
You don't know if it was reduced to a judgment. Did anybody advise you how to rebuild your credit?
No. No,
I mean, you're young.
I don't know I really don't know none of this stuff. I just started realizing that credit is your life.
It is. Unless you'd be lucky enough to be able to pay for everything in cash, which there are very few people who are able to do that. When you get paid by your employer now, $400 a week, what do you do with it?
I save it. I put it in my, because I have a prepaid card, so I go and I just put it in my prepaid card.
Is that because they refuse to open an account for you? Yeah. Okay. I mean, this is one of those, you had me at hello when your mother testified that she never signed anything on your behalf when you were underage. That's a lie. You signed the lease for her when she was underage. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $5,000. We're done here.
She needs to admit to her wrongs.
I let her move in with me.
I'm tired. I just want to move on with my life.
She leaves me alone about her credit and everything else.
I just hope that she just start doing right and stop doing what she's doing and just be the mother that she's supposed to be.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Snyder versus Haga. Step forward.
20-year-old Heather Snyder is suing her ex-boyfriend, 25-year-old Joshua Haga, for an unpaid loan to buy a car.
Mr. Haga, I'm going to start with you, sir, okay? You and Miss Snyder were dating.
Yes.
You were having some trouble with a car, and you needed a loan.
No, I
for
never.
You didn't have a car.
Correct.
And you needed a car.
Correct.
And you had that discussion with the plaintiff, the fact that you needed a car because you were dating.
Correct.
You needed a car to get to work, take care of your daily business, make a living.
Correct.
All true. Now, when you had that conversation, and you did, right?
Correct.
What credit card did she have access to? Do you know?
It was her bank card.
Okay. So you were dating sufficiently to know that she had money on a bank card that she could take a loan out on.
I don't know anything about a loan.
No, that she could take, not you. We're not talking about you. Pay careful attention. Put on your listening ears.
In a moment.
Did you take out a loan?
No.
Who do you pay for the car?
The dealership.
That's a car loan.
But not like me going through my bank. I didn't get a loan through my bank.
I don't care if you got a loan through Pluto.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Heather Snyder says ex-boyfriend Joshua Haga owes for a loan to buy a car.
Yeah, she had a bank card that she could get cash from, but she had to pay it because you get a bill at the end of that, unless it's a savings account or a checking account where you have money.
Correct.
And you were aware of the fact, sir, that the money that she was giving you was coming from money off this card that had a monthly payment. I'm looking at your answer, so just remember, you swore to an answer.
Correct.
Which I will read to you if you have had a lapse in memory. You knew there was a payment attached every month for the money that she gave you.
No. When my car broke down, I was frustrated, you know, and we had talked to her.
I don't care if you were frustrated or not. Are you telling me that...
She had offered to help me with the car, to get a new car.
Listen to me carefully. What payments were you talking about?
Myself to the dealership. Okay. So payments I was making to the car. When I had got a car, I was making payments for that. I wasn't making payments for anything else.
I know you weren't. What I'm asking you is the money that she gave you, she gave you for what?
For a car payment, for the down payment on a car.
Down payment on a car. And what kind of a car did you buy?
It was a 2015 Volkswagen.
How much was it?
The car itself was about $20,000.
And did you take out a loan?
No. It was like a buy now, pay here kind of dealership. So we went to the dealership, made the down payment, and then they financed through their bank. I didn't take a loan out through my bank.
Who do you pay for the car?
The dealership.
Okay, that's a car loan.
In a way it was, but not like me going through my bank. I didn't get a loan through my bank. And
I don't care if you got a loan through Pluto. If you have a car that you didn't pay for in cash, that you're making installment car payments on, then you're making car loan payments, whether you make it to a bank, whether you make it to Bird, whether you make it to me, whether you make it to a financial institution or a pawn shop. It's a loan that you have to pay back.
Correct.
Are you paying it back?
Not anymore. The car was repoed.
When did you buy it?
It was around time.
And when was it repossessed?
It was repossessed back in December.
Okay, so let's go. So you bought the car July, let's say you bought it in August. Did you make September's payment?
To the dealership, yes.
Yes. October?
To the dealership, yes.
November?
No.
December?
No.
Why not?
I had hit a deer, and under my insurance policy, I didn't have gap insurance. So the deductible was going to be like $500 plus like a $500 car payment plus $200 insurance. I couldn't afford it at the time.
Did you have any insurance?
On the car, I did. The insurance was about $200 itself.
Just liability or collision?
It was collision, but as far as the policy goes, there was no like accidental, like if I hit a car or something, even if I had the insurance, there was still going to be a $500 deductible on my end.
You had a deductible. You chose a $500 deductible to keep your payments lower.
Correct.
Now, when did you and the plaintiff break up?
It was around...
Not around.
August, September, more so September.
And you bought the car on what date?
I don't remember the exact date that I bought the car. It was...
Also in the summer.
July 15th, actually.
How much money did Miss Snyder give you as a down payment?
She paid the dealership around $1,800.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was doing electronic repairs at the time.
What are you doing now?
I'm a salesman for DirecTV and AT&T and commission.
So you get a check?
Correct.
You want to tell me the circumstances of this $1,800?
We actually went to the car place on July 14th. It was $1,800 for the car and then another $212 for the insurance. I also paid for the first payment on the insurance with Liberty Mutual.
Just let's go.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Show me where you paid, not her. She put in $1,800. You, how much money? You already told me you only paid September and October. That doesn't come to $2,000.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Heather Snyder says ex-boyfriend Joshua Haga owes for a loan to buy a car.
Okay, you want to tell me the circumstances of this $1,800?
We actually went to the car place on July 14th. It was $1,800 for the car and then another $212 for the insurance. I also paid for the first payment on the insurance with Liberty Mutual.
Just let's go. So let me hear about what the circumstances surrounding you paying.
Okay. He actually did have a car. We were driving from his grandmother's house to my house when it broke down. He had a really old car. It was so hard to pay. We agreed to help him pay for the car, help pay the down payment.
Who's the we?
We agreed that I would help him. And we had an agreement that he would pay me back.
When?
He would pay me back by the end of the year. It was December 17th would be the last day.
What kind of work do you do?
At the time, I was working at, actually I didn't have a job, I was in between jobs. Now I work at GameStop.
How are you supporting yourself during the summer?
I did just have a job. I was working at a a fancy pizza place. That's where I was able to save up all the money. The money was actually for college, and so that's why I had it saved up. I actually didn't put it on a credit card, I put it on a debit card. So I didn't have any interest on the payments.
So you had enough money in the bank?
I had $2,000 in my savings, and it pretty much all went to him.
And 6 weeks later, you broke up?
Yeah, we broke up end of August.
That's about 6 weeks?
Yes.
5, 6 weeks. Did you and the defendant ever live together?
No.
You always maintained your own place?
Yes.
What were the circumstances surrounding you breaking up with each other?
He started getting kind of possessive. My sister was in the car with me once when he would call me if I didn't text him back almost immediately. He didn't like when I went out with my friends. It just got a little bit frustrating, so I decided to end it.
Is that what happened?
I wouldn't put it more so possessive. I mean, she was going out to clubs, having guys over at the clubs with her, and her sister wasn't comfortable with things that she was doing.
How much were your car payments?
The car payments were $480 a month, and then for the first 2 months, because of the difference in the down payment that she made wasn't the whole thing towards the down payment, so I paid that out of pocket for the first 2 months.
How much?
It was about $680 for the first 2 months, and then after that, it was $480.
I want to know how much money.
For the car payment itself, $480.
No, I want to know how much money you put into the car before it was repossessed.
I would say a little over $2,000.
Show me where. Don't give me a whole bunch of junk.
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
I want to know how much money you put into the car before it was repossessed.
I would say a little over $2,000.
Show me where. Don't give me a whole bunch of junk.
No.
Show me where you put in $2,000. That would have meant about 4 car payments.
My credit for the car itself.
I just want to see how much you paid. Tell me how much you paid on the car. I see what this says, balance, highest balance, and the account.
That's what I have paid so far for the car.
You, I'm not talking about her payment of $1,800.
No, that's my payment towards the...
Show me where you paid, not her. The highest balance on this car was $15,000. She put in $1,800. You, how much money? You already told me that you only paid September and October. You already told me you only paid September and October. That doesn't come to $2,000.
I don't have anything that I've paid. I mean, I have how much the monthly payment for the car is, if you wanted to see that.
You owe $1,900. $1,937. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
There was no agreement for me to pay the money back.
I'm happy the way it worked out. I got my money.
I don't feel I was being possessive under the circumstances of what she was doing.
I know he says he wasn't, but he was. It was just a deal breaker for me.
I don't want any hard feelings.
It was pretty frustrating that I helped him out in his time of need, and he really just blocked me out.
In Judge Judy's terms, I see it differently, but,
I had nothing else to do with him not going home.
A grandma inserts herself in a custody battle.
She not only went to school and picked him up, she signed him out early.
You lied to me once. Don't do it again.
And a mother deals with the aftermath.
What happened to his father's?
When I picked him up, he was high as a kite.
Your son?
Yes. And his father couldn't even look us straight in the eye and talk to us. He was so messed up.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Deborah Hartzell is suing Sean Hansel and his ex-wife, Mandy, for an unpaid loan.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 415 on the calendar, the matter of Hartzell versus Hansel.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Hartzell, Miss Hansel used to be your daughter-in-law. She was married to your son. They have 2 children.
Yes.
They've been divorced since when? What year?
2005.
And since 2005, the 2 children, 2 boys, correct? Have lived with you?
Yes.
Until recently.
They both still
We'll get to that in a second. But they both resided with you, 2005, and I assume your son was under a support order.
Yes.
What kind of work does he do?
He's a self-employed tree trimmer.
He has his own company?
Yes.
Does he have any employees?
One.
Is he remarried?
No.
Okay. This gentleman also at one time, before or after, was married to Miss Hansel. You and Miss Hansel were divorced.
Correct.
And you have no children together?
We do.
How many?
We have 2 current, and she's currently pregnant with my child.
How old are the 2 children that you have?
10 and 8.
So that was after the divorce?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. At some point, according to your complaint, Mr. Hansel ran into some difficulty with his mortgage. And you called Mrs. Hartzell.
No.
Did you contact her?
I contacted her son.
You contacted her son.
Correct.
At this point, how far behind in his child support is he for the 2 boys?
$7,126.
Does he pay anything?
She does.
He doesn't pay anything.
The way he explained it to me, Your Honor, is that she takes care of his child support.
So far, he's $7,000 in arrears. And how much is the support order?
$333.
A week, a month?
A month, I'm sorry.
When was the last time you received a support payment from the plaintiff's son?
October.
What happened to November?
That's when this money came about. I had contacted her son in regards to the child support. I was in need of the money right then, and I had asked him if child support payment had been made yet, and that's when he had told me that...
No, just a second.
I'm sorry.
Can't tell me what he told you.
Okay. At that point, I was informed that...
No, you can't say
Okay.
informed. You told him...
I told him...
You told him that you were in need of money and he owed you money.
Correct.
Well, he owed his children money, but
Correct.
you were taking care of his children. Certainly, he's not supporting his children on $300 a month. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What was the next thing that happened?
I met with him.
And?
He gave me $400. He made a phone call, had left her a message saying, if you haven't mailed child support yet, don't, because Sean needs the money right now. I'm giving it to him.
$400.
Correct. And at that point, he had told me he was finishing...
Don't tell me what he told
Okay,
you.
at that point, he was finishing up a tree job, and I was supposed to get $1,100 within 2 days of that.
What happened next?
He didn't get the money, and at that point, I was told to contact his mother.
Did you contact his mother?
Yes, I did.
Now I want you to tell me the conversation that you had with Miss Hartzell, and tell me when that conversation took place.
Okay. It would have been November.
Did you call her or did she call you?
I believe she contacted Mandy, and then I called her.
And I would like you to tell me what you said to her and what she said to you.
I told her at that point that I had 2 days to come up with just under $1,100 to make sure I could keep the home. She told me to figure out exactly what I needed and to let her know we would go from there. Within a day or so of the first conversation, we came up with it was just under $1,100. So she was going to give me $1,100. We were on our way to her place of employment to pick up the money. And at that point, I actually received a phone call from the person I was buying the home from, telling us that forget about it. If I go to make the deposit, they're not going to accept the money. So when I got there, I explained to her the situation.
Did he tell you that there was a problem with the house?
No.
When you met with him?
Not at that point.
When did he tell you that there was a problem with the house?
2 days later, when I was going to give him the next check and deposit it into the landlord's account at the bank.
How many checks did you give him?
2.
What were the denominations?
The first one was $1,000 and the second one was $1,100 on November 3rd and 5th.
So you gave him the $1,000.
Yes, ma'am.
And then $1,100 the next day. So it was really $2,100.
Correct.
And did he cash those checks for $2,100?
He cashed the first one into his landlord's account at the landlord's bank.
You mean where you were going to buy?
Correct.
What happened with that money?
It went and paid the house payment, and then the first
Just
house...
a second. It paid a house. Did you move into that house?
We had been in the house already. I had lost my job at the beginning of October.
Just a second. So she lent you in total $2,100.
She didn't lend me anything. This was a child support agreement.
Now I want you to tell me the child support agreement.
Okay.
I want to hear the child support agreement
Okay.
with her.
No problem. Every penny she gave me, when we got her income taxes, we were supposed to take that dollar amount and mail it into the child support office so her son got credit for making that payment, and it would come off his back child support.
Did you do that?
Tax time isn't here yet.
Just a second. Is that the arrangement you made with her?
For the...
No. Look at me.
Yes.
Is that the arrangement you made with her?
Yes, ma'am, for the $1,100 it was. What happened was the first $1,000 she gave me, like I said, on the day that I showed up, and I told her that I can't make the house payment. They told me it's too late. She gave me the $1,000 because I would need the money to move in somewhere else anyway. Okay. Later that day, the landlord called me and said, hey, if you can get the money in today, we'll go ahead and do that. At that point, I'd already deposited the check. That's when I contacted Debbie, and I said, hey, if you can put the money into their account to cover the house payment when this check cleared, because with a conversation she had had with Mandy to go ahead and use the other $1,000 towards paying other bills to get it caught up, because it was going to be a month before I saw a paycheck. And that total amount of $2,100 was going to be mailed into child support to come off the $7,100 owed.
He'll pay his own child support. You pay her back her money. How old is your son?
37.
Time that he was not a deadbeat and took care of his own children. It's time.
He's only in arrears because he was in prison for 5 years.
What does he get? What do you
He's
get a
paid
reward
since
for that?
then.
What do you get a reward for that? Then he should have been paid twice as much.
He pays child support plus only $25 towards arrearage, so it's hard to get it paid down.
You make children, you're supposed to take care of them. And you don't get a break when you're in jail. You're in jail because you did something yourself. It's not as if you got a disease, if you had serious surgery, you couldn't work. You did something wrong. Your children still had to eat, right?
Right.
When he was in jail, did she get any child support at all?
I did help her very much, and I also took the 2 boys quite often.
Well, that doesn't make any difference. Okay. Something happened recently that sparked something that I want to go back and address. There came a time when one of your grandsons had a disciplinary incident with his mother and his stepfather. And from what I gather, he's
not right.
Well, tell me what happened.
He wanted to live with his father, and it was agreed upon by the 2 of them, supposedly. And on Christmas vacation, he stayed with his father the entire time.
It's good. He can stay with his father for Christmas.
And I had nothing else to do with him not going home.
Who picked him up from school?
He can walk home from school.
No, to your son's house. Who picked him up? Did you ever go to school to pick him up?
No.
Why did you put that in here?
She not only went to school and picked him up, she signed him out early.
She's not even on the list.
We had to go at the end of Christmas vacation with the police to retrieve Jimmy. At the end of...
That's very easy for me to find out. Did you go to school to pick up your grandson?
The one day when I signed him out, yes. The day I signed him out before Christmas, or no, after Christmas.
Just
after Christmas.
Did he go back to his mother's?
He told me
Just
his
a second.
mother
Did he go back to his mother's?
Yes, I believe so.
As of Friday, he came back
As of
home
last
finally.
Friday. Well, that's January. What happened at his father's?
Went over there, and when I picked him up, he was high as a kite.
Your son?
Yes.
Yep.
And his father couldn't even look us straight in the eye and talk to us. He was so messed up.
Did you ever have a discussion with the defendants with regard to taking the amount of money that you gave them off child support by using their tax returns? So far, you've lied to me once. Don't do it again.
No,
so far,
I
you
had
lied to
conversation, not about the taxes. That was
What?
never...
Just a second. I want you to tell me the one conversation that you had with regard to the money and child support.
On the following Monday, after they borrowed the 2 checks from me, through Mandy, who gets the child support, we were to go down to the courthouse, offered to me by her, so that she could have the arrearage reduced in that amount.
Oh, good. Now we're done.
And Monday, she wouldn't answer the phone.
This is it. I am dismissing her case without prejudice and holding any fees. Do you understand? I expect for you to go down to child support and reduce the child support by $2,100. Do you understand?
I went to do that, and they said with the check not being wrote to me, I can't do it. That's why we agreed that when we got the taxes, we would do it then.
Is that because you at some point were on welfare?
No, I've never been on welfare.
Well, then why can't you do that? It's your money.
The check wasn't in my name to prove that
it doesn't make any
given
difference.
To me.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but the way they explained it to us is that to go down and make an agreement like that, they won't accept it unless it actually goes through the child support office. The payment has to go through there.
Yeah.
So we had no problem with when we got our money sending it through.
Fine. So that you would have no problem sending in the child support. How much money?
He's supposed to pay
$333
a month.
$333. So for the next 7 months, you pay the child support. Do we have an agreement?
Well, we're a month.
No. Do we have an agreement?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
You claim the shed was damaged and you want $4,000. Are you out of your mind? Do you hear these people? Are you crazy? Do you know how ridiculous that sounds?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deborah Hartzell says Sean Hansel and ex-wife Mandy Hansel owe for a loan.
For the next 7 months, you pay the child support. Do we have an agreement?
Well, we're a month.
No. Do we have an agreement? Unless you send that money in to be credited to him for the next 7 months, he doesn't owe any child support.
That's fine.
Because you owe her, and that was the agreement.
I understand, yeah.
And that was the agreement.
That's fine.
Perfect. We're done here.
Thank you, Judge.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They are not a part of the children's life, and anytime they are,
That's fair. Works good for me.
you know, his son's doing drugs with my child, and
That the two boys could have a stable home and
not a very good
in a
environment.
school for at least 1 year.
It's just that type of family. They're evil and twisted.
I hope for all my grandchildren's and sons' sake.
One day my son wakes up and realizes what kind of person his father is.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cruz versus Lathan. Step forward.
Diana Cruz is suing her former neighbor, LaDonna Lathan, for a damaged storage shed and damaged belongings.
Miss Cruz, your mother owned 2 pieces of property. Houses were on both of those pieces of property. She died. One of the houses was sold to the defendant, the house right next door to where your mother had lived. Did you live with your mother at the end of her life? If the answer is either yes or no. Did you live with your mother for the end of her life?
No.
Well, why don't you just answer me and say, correct, I didn't live with my mother.
I didn't live with my mother.
That's the answer. When was the last time you lived in that house?
I moved out in August of 2016.
Where did you live in June of 2016?
Lived in the same town, but I had rented a room from a friend.
Who else lived with her in the house?
It would be myself and my daughter, Natasha.
When?
We lived there with her until she went into the rest home in December of 2014.
So the last time you stayed in the house was in 2014?
No, ma'am. I was in the house
You said you rented a room someplace.
in August of 2016 is when I moved out of the residence that I used to live with my mother and rented a room. I could no longer stay in the house after my mother had passed away.
Why?
Just memories.
Was the house condemned?
My house...
There, just a second. Just answer the
Yes,
question.
ma'am.
All right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I found out that my daughter, who has a drug problem, sold my storage shed to LaDonna for $75. That's what you wrote?
Yes.
Did you ever get your $75 back?
No.
You
Did
didn't.
you didn't pay it?
Yes, I did,
Just
Your Honor.
a second.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Diana Cruz says former neighbor LaDonna Lathan owes for damage to a storage shed and property damage. LaDonna is countersuing for harassment and costs associated with the shed.
So the last time you stayed in the house was in 2014?
In August of 2016 is when I moved out of the residence that I used to live with my mother and rented a room. I could no longer stay in the house after my mother had passed away.
Why?
Just memories.
Was the house condemned?
My house...
There, just a second. Just answer the
Yes,
question.
ma'am.
All right. Authority.
The city of Clarksburg.
You have the condemnation notice?
I don't have it with me, ma'am.
Fine. When were you served with a condemnation notice?
October of 2016.
Now, what happens to a condemned house? I know what happens to a condemned house. A condemned house is no longer habitable. The city took over and they take it down.
Yes, the city and I have discussed this. Yes.
Fine. So that's what this case is about, this nonsense. You moved out of the house because it was condemned,
No,
because
ma'am.
it was no longer habitable. Yes, if it was condemned in October, that means it was also uninhabitable in August.
No, ma'am.
And the next door neighbor, is this your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
The next door neighbor who bought the house, fair and square, had a conversation with your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Month and year did you have the conversation with the daughter that you bought the shed?
December 26, 2016, 25th, on Christmas Day.
Great.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Now I got the dates. Okay.
Yes.
So, hey. Piece of work. Okay, so you were served with a condemnation notice in the house in October.
A different
After-
house, ma'am. Not the house she bought.
I'm not talking about
Okay.
the house she bought. I'm talking about the house your mother lived in.
Yes, ma'am.
She had a conversation with your daughter. Nobody denies that. And your daughter sold her a shed for $75. Daughter sold her an old shed after the property had been condemned.
Yes, ma'am.
You threw a hissy fit and said she had no right to sell that to you. You know she has drug problems, and she had no right to sell you, I want my shed back. And you called the police.
Yes, ma'am.
And so she returned the shed, and you claimed the shed was damaged. And because she took it off the cement block where it was, the foundation, that foundation was also damaged, and you want $4,000. Are you out of your mind? Do you hear these people? Are you crazy? Do you know how ridiculous that sounds?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now I'm going to get to a counterclaim, because I'm done with your claim. Your claim is stupid. Counterclaim is that she threw a fit and called the police, and it was embarrassing for you.
Yes, Your Honor.
On what date did she call the police?
December 26, 2016. I called the police. I have the police record.
So you called them?
Because I wanted to get to the bottom of the issue. In my mind, I was upset because, you know, she was coming and taking this back. After I paid for it, you know, I paid for it, and I was upset that she was taking it back. So I said, let's call the police. I told her and the lady that was there with her, I said, we need to call the police and try to get this sorted out.
According to the plaintiff, Miss Cruz, in the deposition that she swore to,
yes, ma'am,
I found out that my daughter, who has a drug problem, sold my storage shed to Ladona for $75. Ladona, that's what you wrote?
Yes, yes.
Did you ever get your $75 back?
No.
You didn't?
You didn't pay it?
Yes, I did,
Just
Your Honor.
a second. Just a second. That's what you wrote in here. She sold my storage shed to my daughter for $75. She knew she was buying property that wasn't my daughter's to sell. And Ladona was ordered to give back my shed.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Judgment on the counterclaim for $75. You get your money back. Your claim is dismissed. We're done. Goodbye.
Oh, excuse me. Step out. Excuse me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy...
How can you play on my child? I mean, she has a drug problem.
When she approached me in sound mind. I would never prey on anyone.
Why would somebody play on my child?
That's right.
I talked to her when she was in withdrawal. She needed the money.
I want to say I'm sorry, you know, that she feels the way she does.
I want an apology to my child. I want an apology to my child. I don't care about me.
If it was my own child, I wouldn't want it to happen to them. But when she sold me the building, she was in sound mind.
Apologize to my child. You don't prey on my child.
But I would never prey on anyone.
Don't do this to my child. She's my child. She's my child.
You ordered some fish, a dozen of them, from the defendant.
Her mail-order tropical fish went belly up.
He sent a sick fish, which I have a picture of, with a disease on it.
It infected your entire tank. Many of your fish died.
Within 6 days, I lost 18 fish.
Is his online business tanking?
Over the last at least 10 years, he has been sending out sick fish to hundreds of customers.
Are you prepared to replace the 12 fish?
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Tracy Vestall is suing tropical fish distributor Thomas Mador for selling her sick fish and contaminating her tank.
Order. All rise. 4-8 on the calendar in the matter of Vestal versus Mador.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Miss Vestal, what kind of fish tank did you have? Salt water or fresh water?
Fresh water.
How large?
75 gallons.
What kind of fish did you have in it?
Cichlids.
How big are they?
They're various sizes, but our largest ones were about 6 to 7 inches long.
And how long have you had the tank?
16 years.
This is what your lawsuit is about. You ordered some fish, a dozen of them, from the defendant online. He shipped them to you. You ordered 12. He shipped 13, which was a good thing. That's like a baker's dozen, he says. He shipped an extra one, and one of them was dead. DOA, dead on arrival.
Exactly.
According to him, that means you still have the 12 fish that you paid for. You say no, he only sent 12, and one was dead. But that's not the main problem. The main problem is that you claim that he sent sick fish, and as a result of the door, and you also want to be compensated for contaminating your tank. How long have you been in the business of these exotic fish, Mr. Mador?
I've actually been selling tropical fish for 27 years, and I've been keeping them since I was a child.
27 years, and you do that online?
Correct. We carry over 780 products on our website.
Okay. Do you have pictures?
Here's a picture of all the fish that arrived.
I actually have a video of that would maybe help you what they actually look like in full color. Very beautiful, colorful fish.
I'm looking at these, and then I'll look at it.
Sure.
Okay, one was dead. And did you call him and tell him?
Yes, I texted him within the 24 hours of a picture of the dead fish.
Okay, what did he say?
He was going to replace it. We had to spend $35 to ship it to us, so we weren't going to...
May I see the ad that you answered with regard to the fish? And did you have a contract with him, or you...
I have a contract right here if you'd like it, Your
I'd like
Honor.
to take a look at it.
Here's our receipt, along with what the fish look like on his website.
Let's see the ad in here.
There was no ad. We found his website.
It's a website, and then...
Okay, may I see the contract?
And you have to sign the terms and conditions before checking out. And those are the terms and conditions, Your Honor.
Okay, so this is the contract because in order to ship, you have to agree to the terms and conditions.
Okay.
You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Did you familiarize yourself with the terms and conditions before you came here today?
No, I did not.
Well, you should.
Okay.
I'll allow you to tell me what happened, but it's very clear
that he's not
financially responsible to you.
Okay. Even though he sent fees on it, that if entered into my tank will cause deathly to the whole tank.
Ms. Vestal, when did you tell him? Because a couple of other of his fish died subsequently. Is that right?
I had 9 of his fish die, and he killed 9 of mine.
No, just a second. Subsequently, a couple of his fish died. Within how many days?
Within 6 days, I lost 18 fish.
Okay. So you had to read this and familiarize yourself with the terms and conditions and what he said. What this says is, and I'm going to read to you because this is the contract that you signed with him. He said, A, he will replace any fish, and he has 100% guarantee for live delivery. He will replace anything that did not arrive live, but you have to pay the shipping. That's what this says here. You agreed to that when you placed the order. And he required proof of the dead fish, which you sent him. If you get an order of fish that you don't approve of, we ask that you not mail them back. That is more stress than necessary for the fish. We request that you keep them. We will credit you the proper amount or type of fish to fulfill our promise to you. No cash refunds. We will only replace your order with healthy fish. One of the things here, I'll read you all of it. It says that we guarantee that your fish will, and it says, however, when you receive your fish, you are solely responsible for acclimating them to your aquarium. To be safe, we recommend that you quarantine your new fish from your current aquarium for at least 10 days, which you did not do. This will allow your new arrivals to fully build up their immune systems to prevent any health issues. After you receive your fish, you acknowledge that you take full responsibility for their care and released Rainforest Farms from any liability. That's all contained in the contract that you clicked on and signed. And so you're bound by it.
I don't know where that was when we placed the order and said, we paid for it. I don't know where that part was.
Do you want him to take you outside? You're still in business, correct?
Correct. Can I just tell?
No, don't tell. I want her to be satisfied, and I don't want to bother to look.
Well,
because I understand that when you place an order for something, it usually says, here are the terms and conditions.
Correct.
I agree to accept the terms and conditions before I proceed next, okay? She said she didn't see that.
Well, Your Honor, my husband is the one. He's the one that ordered the fish with Tom. He spoke with Tom beforehand.
Did you place the order on the internet?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to take him out and show him?
Sure.
You want to go look?
I'm not concerned with that part of it.
No, that's what the parameters are.
Your Honor, can I respectfully just say that over the last at least 10 years, he has been sending out sick fish to hundreds of customers?
Listen to me carefully. If that's true, and he says he's been in business for 27 years, What you should have done was investigate that before you placed an order with him, not after. After is too late.
I had no reason to investigate him because it looked like a reputable website. He'd been in business for 27 years.
What do you mean you had no reason? You never dealt with him before.
Wow.
What I'm telling you is this is a contract case. This is your contract. This is the parameter of your contract. Unless you want your husband to see that when he placed the order, he had to, you may click it fast and says, these are terms and conditions of the sale. Some people go, bing. Some people look at it. Do you want to see that this is what you passed over?
No, that's...
Yeah, okay, fine. You're bound by the terms and conditions of this contract. And the terms and conditions of this contract also suggest that you not commingle your fish with any other fish for 10 days. And that's to give them for a chance to acclimate to whatever environment you have, whatever room temperature you have. I mean, I've had tropical fish, but not for a very long time. And the suggestion is not to take them and immediately put them in your tank.
Okay, so...
That was just a second. Okay,
yes.
not so. I'm trying to explain it to you. That's his suggestion to you, which you did not follow, healthy fish. But that's not the parameter. He's not giving you your money back for anything. He's prepared to replace a fish that died, and if you're not satisfied with the order, he's telling you here, keep the order, and we'll replace the fish. What do you want?
That was fine when I called him about the first initial 4 fish. When we got to 11, he wasn't replacing all fish.
Just a second. Stand up a second.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your contract.
I understand that.
This is your contract.
Yes, ma'am. And it says that he will replace all the fish if we send them back to him and show that they died. Okay, within 6 days, I showed him 9 of your fish have died. 8 of my fish have now died.
8 of your fish is not his business.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have the choice. You can replace the fish that they're not happy with the order with 12 new fish, or you can give them $270. What's your pleasure? What is your pleasure? It's your contract.
And later today...
Has Mr. Cosby ever stolen money from you?
Years ago, not recently.
Well, how many years ago?
Maybe like 25 years ago or something.
Well, what do you think would prompt him? Because his defense is that you're a little crazy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tracy Vestall says sold her sick fish and contaminated her tank.
Okay, 8 of yours is not his business. The 9 of his that died within how many days?
Within 6 days.
And you put his fish in with your fish?
After I acclimated them.
No, not according. That's impossible.
That's impossible as well, ma'am. I'm sorry.
We don't have a tank.
What I'm telling you is you have no case. I'm sorry that your fish got
the
fish.
Well, they can't stay in bags the way he ships them for 2 weeks.
We're just looking, is he going to replace our fish that he says in his contract he's going to replace? Because verbally, he said he's not replacing the 11 fish. So am I getting my fish replaced?
Just a second. Now that I know, how much did you pay for these 12 fish?
$270.
Okay, so you paid $270. And now I'm going to read this. Number 3 of your contract that you two are bound by says, if you get an order of fish that you do not approve of, we ask that you not bail them back. We will replace them. Right. Are you prepared to replace the 12 fish? Well, that's your contract, sir.
That's the DOA on arrival. That's
no, it's not. That's in a totally separate section.
That has to do with the DOAs.
No, sir. It's not, and it's confusing. And since you constructed this, you're solely responsible for it. Number 1 says if you have a fish that's dead on arrival, we'll replace it, and you have to pay for the shipping. It says if you get an order of fish that you don't like, that's not, well, you wouldn't necessarily like dead fish. What if you got an order of 12 dead fish? Clearly, you wouldn't like it.
Right.
Okay? So what I'm telling you is this. You have the choice, pursuant to a contract that you wrote. You can replace the fish that they're not happy with the order with 12 new fish.
Okay.
Or you can give them $270. What's your pleasure? What is your pleasure? It's your contract. It's most heavily construed against the person who...
I offered to replace the fish for her even after the fact that her fish had killed each other.
Just listen. Do me a favor. Don't give me more than I will replace the 12 fish, or I'll pay him the money, $270, that they paid me for the fish.
Well, then we will pay $270 if that's how you deem my contract.
No. I don't deem your contract. I'm looking here, and it says here that you will replace them with live fish, number 3. no cash refunds. It says no cash refunds, but now we're in court. Maybe you don't want to deal with these people anymore. So if you don't want to deal with these people anymore by sending them another $12.50.
We'll do a cash refund then.
Great, $270. We're done. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I will be reorganizing my contract for sure.
I would never take 12 more fish from him, so I'm glad he chose the refund.
If she's happy, I do my best to make sure that everyone is happy.
No more online purchase of fish.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Curvin versus Cosby. Step forward.
Rita Curvin is suing her ex-boyfriend, Milton Cosby, for damaging her car and stealing money from her purse.
I'm sort of confused, Miss Curvin. Mr. Cosby is a friend of yours. You have an on and off relationship with him, and he's married.
Yes.
And you were out with him one evening at a bar, and that was on November 26th. He went out to celebrate your birthday, and according to you, things didn't go well that evening, and without your permission, Mr. Cosby took your car.
That's correct.
And he took your car, and according to you, he damaged the bumper of your car.
Yes.
And also, your pocketbook with some cash in it was in the trunk of the car, and he took the cash out of your pocketbook.
Yes.
How long have you known Mr. Cosby?
All my life.
Has Mr. Cosby ever stolen money from you?
Years ago, not recently. I mean, within...
Well, how many years ago? You're 50. How many years ago?
Maybe like 25 years ago or something.
Well,
like
what
that.
do you think would prompt him? Because his defense is that you're a little crazy. So I'm trying to find out. So what do you think would prompt him when he took your car without your permission, steal money out of your pocketbook?
I don't know. My purse was locked in the trunk of my car. When I got to my car to retrieve my car from his house, my purse was no longer in the trunk of my car. My bill folder was not in my purse, and my credit cards had been messed with too. And my $200 for my insurance car payment money was gone.
So how much cash was in the bill folder?
I had $160 thrown away in a part of my bill folder. I had
that
$200.
was still there. Just a minute. So that was still there.
It was still there. The $350 I had in the front of my bill folder, it was still there. I had two $100 bills off in my purse for the car insurance. That was missing out of my purse.
Did you take her money?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, let's talk about you took her car.
No, I
from
didn't
the bar.
take her car, ma'am.
Well, you used her car to drive it to your house.
Yes, ma'am.
So you took her car. I didn't say you stole it. I said you took her car.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me why you took her car.
When we was at the club, ma'am, I had asked Miss Curvin to take me back to the room or take me home, and which she had purchased a room prior to us going to the club. I asked her, I say, I know my limit when I drink. I say, so I know I reached my limit. I said, could you please take me back to the car or take me to my truck? And she was like, no, I'm not taking you anywhere. It's my birthday. You came out with me. You're going to party. And if you want to go, just go. And so keys.
Did you take her car?
Yes, ma'am. I left in her car.
Well, Mr. Cosby, what kind of nutty thing did you just tell me?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You just told me that you had been out with her, that you had reached your drinking limit, so that she gave you a car keys and you drove home. Why would you get into her car if you were drunk?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rita Curvin says ex-boyfriend Milton Cosby drove her car without permission and damaged it. She also claims Milton stole money from her purse.
Now, did you take her car?
Yes, ma'am. I left in her car.
Well, Mr. Cosby, what kind of nutty thing did you just tell me? You just told me that you had been out with her, that you had reached your drinking limit, and you weren't going to drink anymore. So then she gave you a car keys and you drove home. Why would you get into her car if you were drunk?
Because I didn't have no way, because we had parked my truck.
Can I see pictures of your car, please?
We had left my truck parked not at the club.
The most ridiculous thing I ever heard. I just want to see pictures of the car, and I want to see a police report because to his house.
Yes,
because you went there the following morning to make a little bit of a scene, and the police were called. Who called the police?
I called the police because that's where he had my car at.
When you called the police and you got your car, did they make a report or you just didn't get the report?
No, the police that came to his house, they didn't make a report, but they had to make him give me my car keys. Then he took my car and slightly backed into my son's 2015 Dodge Charger with my car.
Who did that?
Mr. Cosby did that.
You mean, is that where this
No,
damage happened?
that happened in between the time that he had my keys in his hand. I went to grab my keys from the club. He snatched them back. Then he tried to get the liquor bottle that was on the table, but I managed to keep him from getting that. Then he left. I thought he was going outside to cool down. He didn't drive my car to the club, so why would I let him drive my car from the club? And when we went in there, the reason he got my keys...
Listen to me. There's no question he should not have been behind the wheel of your car. Period. And if what you're telling me is there was damage between the time you took the car and the time you retrieved the car, that's what I'm concerned.
Okay,
I don't want to hear the whole story. Tell somebody else that part of the story. And now I'd like to see the bill for repair of your car.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
What?
If I would have took her car without her permission... But what? She can't give you permission to kill somebody, can she? No. Because that's illegal. Exactly. It's also illegal to drive a car drunk. And that's right. And that's why I was trying to get her to take me to the house. But listen, it's the same thing in a different level, Mr. Cosby, than my saying to you, I want you to kill Bird. And you say, I can't do that. You know, that's a crime. And I say, you know what? But he really annoyed me about 6 months ago. And then yesterday he did something else that was annoying. So I'm going to give you a good reason. So now you can kill him. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am. She can't give you permission to drive drunk. Yes, ma'am. I don't care what the excuse is. I don't care if you have to sleep at the club. You're not supposed to get behind the wheel of a car when you're drunk.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, you're not supposed to get behind the wheel of a car when you're drunk.
And the thing,
which is
the
what you
damage that
told
was
me.
To the car was already there, ma'am.
That's what I got a witness for.
Your witness ain't seen me do the
What kind of car is this?
It's a 2001 Lincoln Town car.
Should you look up the value of a 2001
Good condition. That car didn't have a scratch or anything on it.
$2,775.
You saw him driving the car drunk, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I figured. That's what it says here. Good. $575. That's the part, the bumper. Put it on for $100. We're not giving you $2,000 to fix a $2,000 car. We're done. We are done. Over. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy...
I did not give him permission to leave in my car.
I don't owe her anything because she's a pathological liar.
He wanted to drink because he was drunk and took my drink out of my hand, and I didn't want to go out on the dance floor.
I asked her to take me home, and she got upset because I didn't want to go to the room with her.
The party is over.
It's over. It's a done deal.
Our relationship together is unhealthy for our child. We cannot be in the same household.
Combative young parents part ways.
He lied to me saying he wasn't working, so he wouldn't have to give me money.
She left, and then they entered into a custody battle.
He did nothing for his kid. He did nothing for me.
But Dad says he fought to stay together.
I unload trucks, I paint houses, I pour concrete.
You do everything except pay child support.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Linda Brotherton is suing Destiny Roseberry for unpaid rent for an apartment in her name.
Order. All rise. It's case number 417 on the calendar in the matter of Brotherton versus Roseberry.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Miss Brotherton, this young lady is the former girlfriend of your nephew. I must assume this is the nephew.
Yes.
Is that your sister's child or your brother's child?
Actually, cousin.
Okay, so he's not a nephew, he's a cousin. How is he a cousin?
I think he's the third cousin.
So it's not a relationship that's actually...
But we're closer than that. We are
Fine.
a family.
I just like to keep things straight. So he's not a nephew. He's not related to you by blood. He is at best a third cousin, a cousin of a cousin of a cousin.
Yes.
But you're a close group.
Yes.
Great, I got it. I just wanted to see whether this was accurate.
Yes.
This is my nephew's ex-girlfriend.
His mother and I are best friends. I've known their family since I
don't
was
care.
forever.
I like to know
what the relationship
is, especially he's your best friend's son. So almost like a nephew to you. Okay. Well, whatever he is, he didn't have enough money to rent an apartment with his girlfriend, who either had or was having a baby. When did that take place?
I had Xander June 30th of 2015.
And when did you move into an apartment with the cousin, friends, whatever?
January 25th of 2016.
While you were pregnant, you lived at home?
Yes.
And about 6 months after you had the baby, you decided to move in with the baby's father. That would be him?
Yes.
But neither of you had enough money to qualify for a lease on an apartment, so you co-signed for them.
I did.
And then it sort of didn't work out, and you moved out in November of 2016.
Yes.
And you moved back home.
Yes.
And you want, since her half of the rent, the idea was they were supposed to split the rent.
Yes.
The idea is you want her half of the rent for those 2 months.
November, December, and the prorated part of January, because she never did leave the apartment.
Well, she left the apartment. She may have left some stuff there, but she left the apartment according to you. According to you, you said she left stuff there. She left, and then they entered into a custody battle.
She has things there. She did not leave the apartment. She comes and goes still.
Well, that's not what you actually say in your complaint. 2016, Destiny and Zach broke up, which started a custody battle. Destiny left her belongings at the apartment but refused to pay the rent.
She broke up with them. She declared that she was not going to pay any more rent in the middle of November and that she was moving back to her mother's. But that didn't happen exactly that way. She came and went, and it wasn't until beginning of January.
Do you live with them?
No, I do not.
So that you don't know any of this from your first-hand knowledge. You only know it from your cousin, maybe girlfriend, son, Zach. You don't know any of this from your first-hand knowledge.
I do know.
Just a second. Were you in the apartment when she came back?
No.
Then you don't know any of it from your first-hand knowledge. You do. Stand up. You're Zach.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In January of 2016, where were you working?
Degree, that is a landscaping company, miss.
In January?
Yeah.
And how long were you there?
I worked there for about 6 months.
So you worked there from January until June?
No, when we first got this apartment, miss, I detailed cars. From then, which was like midway through the lease,
just a minute. I'll talk to him. In January, you detailed cars.
In Reading, Ohio.
Were you paid by the hour, by the week?
Yes, ma'am.
By the hour. You were paid in check.
Yes, ma'am.
Which you deposited.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much was the check that you deposited each week?
Maybe $400 up.
And what was the rent on the apartment?
$615.
And where were you working, Miss Roseberry?
I was bartending at a nightclub. New York Cabaret.
And that's when you moved in?
Yes.
Okay. And your arrangement was you were supposed to split the expenses?
Yes.
Okay. Did you continuously have this job detailing until June?
Yes, ma'am.
And after June?
I hooked up with one of my buddies and started landscaping.
You mean you hooked up with one of your buddies and started your own company? Or?
No. He works with a previous company that he got me in through.
And that was in June?
Yeah.
So you were detailing cars up until June, and then you started to work for a landscaping company.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you still working there?
I am. I'm unemployed. I do shop hours, miss.
What does that mean?
That means, like, I don't get a check weekly, but I can still come there and do shop hours throughout the week and be paid under the table.
So how many hours a day do you get paid for under the table?
To be honest, Your Honor, because I'm laid off through them right now, I haven't been calling back and getting
laid off?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you laid off?
The beginning of January is when I was laid off.
Of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were still working for them full-time. Very easy to figure out. November and December.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were still able to pay your half of the rent?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So, Miss Roseberry, I'm looking at your answer. It said, after we moved in, I paid for everything since he didn't have a job. So that's not true.
He lied to me several times saying he wasn't working, so he wouldn't have to give me money. I paid for his half.
Tell me about that.
I would ask him for the rent, and he said he would be 100 short every time. So I was picking up his slack the whole time we lived there.
Well, if he was 100 short, that's not half. You got to be better with numbers.
He was about 200 short every 2 months.
So this is inaccurate, what you wrote here. He didn't have a job, and I was taking care of him and the child, and this put stress on our relationship.
Yes, even though he was working, I was still paying for everything.
No, you weren't. If he was short, that's not paying for everything.
I was working 2 jobs, I was at a nursing home also. I took care of Xander. I would find babysitters. He did nothing for his kid. He did nothing for me.
Miss Roseberry, let me tell you something. How old are you?
21.
And how old are you?
I am 23, Your Honor.
Okay. Too young and too stupid to make a baby, and then you think, Miss Roseberry, that life is going to give you a 50-50 proposition? It's not going to give you a 50-50 proposition. Take that from an older person, very older person, who knows that once you set up around, I was doing this, and I was making appointments, and I was taking care of the baby, and I was getting up with him in the middle of the night. Yeah, he was working, but he didn't take care of me, and he didn't do his half share with the baby, and I was working 2 jobs, and I was doing so much more, and it was so much better at my mother's house, where she took care of the baby, and she took care of the laundry, and I may go out to work, but at least I had some help who wasn't watching a football game and drinking beer with his friends in the house. Well, then you don't have a baby when you're 19 and he's 21 because that's stupid. All right. You want your money back?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You want the money back for November. Did you pay half your rent in November?
No, I did not, because I moved out the end of November because he was being violent towards me.
Okay. So you moved out in November. So you owe your half of November's rent. How much was half of your rent in November? How much was the full rent?
$615.
So you owe $307 for the month of November. Now, are you still in the apartment?
I'm not.
Okay. When did you move out?
Like right before we come and took this trip, Your Honor.
Okay, so you stayed there through January.
Yeah.
And you're working under the table now.
Yeah.
So that you're not paying any taxes. And you set your own hours.
I like orders for Menards. I unload trucks. I paint houses. I pour concrete.
You do everything except pay child support. Just a second. You do everything except pay child support. From what I gather, listen, I don't want to hear from you. I'm going to dismiss your case, period. Do you understand? Because I think the whole case is sort of a little ridiculous. But who paid the rent in the apartment for the month of December and January? You can only say the wrong thing.
I was just going to wait for you to let me speak, that's all.
Well, now I'm waiting for you. Who paid the rent for December and January?
In December, I gave my aunt $300. There's my half.
So in December, you gave your aunt $300.
Correct.
And you were working, according to you, in December in full. You didn't start, according to you, it wasn't until January where you got laid off and you started to get paid under the table. That was according to what you told me a minute ago. Okay. And she had left in November. Is that right?
As she says, Your Honor.
Just a second. Is that correct, that she left in November?
To be honest, no, that's not correct.
Well, then tell me about her not leaving in November.
She claims she'll leave, Your Honor. She'll be gone for 2 days, then she'll be beating on my door at midnight when she gets home from her job, arriving with my son. That's another thing. Anytime she would work, as she says, and come to our home that she claims she no longer lives at, it would be late with her, knocking at the door. And then if she said, like she said, she'd moved out, it'd be for a week grace period, and then she'd be at my doorstep the next week knocking on the door. I need my stuff. I live here, too. My name's on the lease, but she's not helping with any other bills. I don't understand that.
Save it for the family court. What I want to know is, she's now living with her mother, and you're working in the month of December. What kind of contribution, if any, because I'm not crazy about her either, what kind of contribution did you make towards your son's support in December?
Miss?
Nothing. It says either something or nothing.
It's something.
Well, tell me what it was.
Since my son has been delivered from this woman, I've been there from day one. He's lived in our house. I've taken care of him. I've watched him while she's went to work. I've bought diapers, things that fathers are supposed to do.
This isn't family court, Zach.
I understand that.
I asked you the month of December. She had moved out. You were working full-time. You paid your aunt half the money, $300 a month. You told me that you were working and making about $400 a week, because you wouldn't have left a job where you were making $400 a week to make less, to start a new venture with your friend. So that I have to assume you were at least making $1,600, $1,700 a month. So what did you do with the other money?
I don't understand where you come up with that sum of money, miss.
Well, I'm going to tell you. You want to know where?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You didn't work for a car wash, then you worked for a landscaper.
If we're talking about then, what are you talking about when I detail cars?
I don't want to speak to you anymore. I'm going to tell you something, Zach. You better get your story together straight.
And later today.
You think you have a bad temper?
No, I don't.
If I asked your wife, would she say that you had a bad temper?
No.
Does he yell at you?
Not at me, no.
Not at you? At whom?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Linda Brotherton says Destiny Roseberry owes for rent for an apartment in her name.
I asked you where you were working between January and June. You said I was detailing cars. I said, how much would you make a week? You told me $400 a week. So that's about $1,600, $1,700, $1,800 a month. Then you told me that you went to work with a buddy of yours who had a landscaping job. So no normal person with a brain would leave a job where they were making $1,800 a month to go to a job where they were making less than $1,800 a month for a job. So therefore, that's where I get it from. And I'm going to repeat my question. You gave your aunt, cousin, friend $300 towards the rent.
One of those checks weren't always at that. That's what I'm saying. I worked for a car wash.
You didn't work for a car wash, then you worked for a landscaper.
If we're talking about then, what are you talking about when I detail cars?
I don't want to speak to you
That's
anymore.
fine.
I'm going to tell you something, Zach. You better get your story together straight before you had a hearing in the family court? No.
I've been to court one time and it was
Just a
that
second.
woman
Have
for
you
child
had
support.
a hearing about custody or visitation or anything else?
Yeah, that's already squared away. I have joint custody of my son, Your Honor.
Okay. Tell me about the joint custody arrangements. How many days a week is your son with you, and how many days a week is he with his father?
He is supposed to be with Zach 3 days a week and every other weekend.
Was that after a hearing or
It was an agreement. In mediation, I didn't want to keep Xander from
Don't tell me otherwise. I'm not interested in the why. So he has him 3 days a week and every other weekend. You have 4 days a week and every other weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's going to be a support agreement. Well, just 1 day she has, 1 day more. That's your problem. Anyway, when you moved out in November, did you have a discussion with Zach beforehand about moving out?
Yes.
Tell me when that took place and what was the discussion?
It was the end of November, around 28th or 29th. We discussed that he would get a roommate because he has multiple friends that would love to take my place, as he states.
Was this during an argument, or was it during, and I didn't say that, I said, was it during an argument, or was it during a, I'm going back to my mom's?
It was, our relationship together is unhealthy for our child. We cannot be in the same household.
Did it become volatile?
Yes.
Okay, and you both understood that. Did you understand that?
Yeah.
So the discussion was that you would move back to your mother's, and he was going to have one of his friends move in.
Yes.
Stand up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
You knew he was going to go off and make a fool out of himself, right?
We're going on a tangent.
We're going?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know
Right. Right.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Linda Brotherton says Destiny Roseberry owes for rent for an apartment in her name.
Did you ever have that discussion with her?
I don't. No, ma'am.
Were you going to say, I don't remember?
I was going to say I don't recall.
You don't recall. That's better. Did you, in fact, stay in the apartment December and January?
I did.
Okay. Sit down. Thank you. Very good. Get your rent from him. Your case is dismissed. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
With the defendant, I really wish she would have just held up to her half, been an adult, and paid her half.
He was very mentally abusive and violent.
While I was busy paying my half
You know, it all gets better.
to pay those bills. Then I had to ask my aunt herself to help me with that.
When I realized my self-worth.
And if her name was on the lease, she should also been able to do the same thing. And
It's better to be independent.
I'm gonna let it go. You ready, Lynn? I'm good. I don't want to talk anymore.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Blanchett versus O'Shea. Step forward.
Gabriel Blanchett is suing his ex-landlord, Thomas O'Shea, for the return of rent, moving costs, and harassment.
Mr. Blanchett, you rented a room from the defendant, who I understood this is your wife, lives with his wife. You rented the room when, sir?
On May 28th of last year.
And when did you move out?
I moved out on October 18th.
And you want your prorated rent for that month?
Correct.
Now, Mr. O'Shea, I gather that your tenancy with Mr. Blanchett did not go as swimmingly well as you thought.
No, it didn't.
Had you ever had a tenant before?
Yes.
How many times?
Several.
That go okay?
You know.
Sometimes yes, sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yeah.
Do you have a temper? Look, do you think you have a bad temper?
No, I don't.
If I asked your wife, would she say that you had a bad temper?
No.
Does he have a bad temper?
I don't believe so.
Does he yell at you?
The plaintiff here.
Yeah. Okay. So it's fair to say that you were not unhappy when he left.
Well, I wasn't happy when he decided to come to me.
O'Shea, pay careful attention to what I just said.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
You weren't unhappy when he left.
Correct.
And the police had been called several times to your house.
Twice, yes.
With regard to him.
Yes.
Now I'm going to ask you another question. Other than the police responding to the house with complaints regarding Mr. Blanchett, how many times did the police come to your house otherwise?
I don't think any.
What do you mean, I don't think any?
Okay, let me be more precise. Not any.
So that would mean that he was a real problem, since you've had other tenants and no problems.
No, he wasn't a real problem. No, he wasn't actually a problem at all. He decided to call the cops on his own behalf for a reason I don't know.
If he wasn't a problem, would you explain to me why you gave him a 30-day notice?
Because he decided to come at me with his problems again. So we got into a heated argument. Okay. We get into a heated argument.
Keep going, I'm loving it.
So we get into a heated argument.
You knew he was going to go off and make a fool out of himself, right?
We're going on a tangent.
We're going?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know
Right. Right.
We get into a heated argument, so he calls
How much was your monthly rent?
I originally paid $550, and the last month I was there, it went to $600.
Moved out on the 18th?
Right.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $150. We're done. Thank you.
Excuse me, step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
He never paid the checks to me. He paid the checks to the actual owner of the house.
He places the ad, he interviews the people, he decides who's going to live there.
So I never saw his money.
He decides how much to charge. He's the de facto landlord.
So how could I be paying for something when I never saw the money?
He came at me with a fist, like he was getting ready to hit me, throw a punch.
Oh, he wants to cry wolf to the cops and they can't help him either.
And I don't want to get in any trouble, so I just called 911.
Oh, yeah, and they did nothing.
Little more careful screening process.
Nah, man, you know, life throws you curveballs.
Yeah.
What can you say?
The first time we ever met her dog, it was a small attack, and we saw a little bit of blood.
Then it escalated.
Happened again the next day. Her dog latched onto my dog's mouth.
You were sufficiently concerned to get your dog a muzzle.
But that wasn't the end.
What did you see when you entered the hallway?
Her dog, Gnarly, was trying to rip my dog's right ear off.
Why wasn't it muzzled?
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
20-year-old Amanda Allman and boyfriend, 23-year-old John Kidd, are suing neighbor, 23-year-old Bobby Nickel, for vet bills, lost wages, and punitive damages due to a dog attack.
Order. All rise. It's case number 404 on the calendar in the matter of Allman Kidd versus Nickel.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat, huh?
What's your last name?
Kidd, Your Honor.
Do you and Miss Allman live together?
Yes, Your Honor.
How long have you lived together?
About 2 years, Your Honor.
What kind of a dog do you have?
We have a pit bull, Your Honor.
How many?
2.
How old are they?
1 is 2, Your Honor, and 1 is a year.
And you live in the same...
I have a pit bull.
How old?
He's 1.
Now, it is your claim that the defendant's dog mauled one of your dogs, and you want her to be responsible for the vet bills.
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant says that actually you, Mr. Kidd, were walking the dog.
Oh, Your Honor.
Who was? Oh, you were?
Yes, Your Honor.
Doing you a favor, he was a visitor, he was only walking one dog.
My roommate, and he was taking my dog out while I was at work, Your Honor.
Okay, so he lives with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it just the 3 of you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you were only walking one dog?
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened to the other one?
She was walking the other one as well.
So you were walking the dogs together?
Yes. Well, she came in first, and then I came in a few minutes later just because Benny had to use the bathroom.
You weren't there?
No, Your Honor.
Sit. The dogs, I gather from reading the complaint, have had a series of kerfuffles before. Is that right?
Yes.
You want to tell me when that started?
The first time we ever met her dog, it was a small attack, and we didn't realize it until we got inside and we saw a little bit of blood. But we assured her, we let her know what happened, and she assured us that she would try not to let it happen again. Happened again the next day.
How did it happen? Who was with the dog when it happened?
Well, the first time it happened, we were coming, my boyfriend and I were coming down the stairs, and they were coming up, and they never met before, so we didn't know it'd be any physical altercation. We didn't notice anything. I mean, her dog got inside, and then the next day, my boyfriend was taking the dog out, and her roommate was taking out her dog, and that was the actual first really bad attack. Her dog latched onto my dog's mouth, and fortunately my boyfriend could get the dog off, and her roommate assured us that she would pay for any vet bills and stuff like that. Well, we didn't, it wasn't that serious. We were able, he had a little scar, but it wasn't where he needed stitches.
Okay, now, Miss Nickel, at some point from reading your answer, you were sufficiently concerned to get your dog a muzzle.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
How old was your dog when you got, is it a male or a female?
It's a male.
How old was your dog when you got him?
4 months old.
Where did you get him from?
I got him from a family friend. A family friend.
Did the family friend explain to you why he was getting rid of the dog?
It was going to be a Christmas present, but their dad said that they couldn't keep him.
How many incidents has the dog had?
The 2 incidents that the plaintiffs stated were the incidents that I'm aware of.
Do you have children?
I do not.
You have children?
No.
I only keep one thing on my bench, and I keep it on my bench. It was a letter that was sent to me in 2014 by a woman in Yulia City, California. And she said she's enclosing this letter for me from a local newspaper. It concerns a broken-hearted grandfather who had repeated children. This was an open letter to the editor. He said, my 3-year-old grandson is lying in a hospital bed, implanted with IV tubes and many stitches all over his face and chin. His grandma and I were the last to be called out of guilt. He's the victim of a pit bull attack. Since the babies were born, many heated arguments about the dangers the parents subjected these children to fell on deaf ears. It seems all their friends have at least one. They have 2. These are his children. He goes on. But, Miss Nickel, what I don't understand, so you understand what happened here?
Yes.
What I don't understand is you have a dog that is clearly aggressive enough at 1 year for you to muzzle it.
Yes.
Why keep it?
He is my best friend. He's a perfect dog.
I'm going to make a copy of this for you.
Okay.
I'm going to make a copy of this for you. Okay, so now, you want to tell me what happened on the date of this incident, which was?
I have no idea when the day of the incident was.
What was the date, Miss Allman?
December 9th.
Okay, December 9th.
December 9th, yes. I come in from walking the dog, coming all the way up the stairs, 3rd floor, with the leash. I see this dog coming out, running towards Benny, and attacks Benny on the right ear. Next thing you know, I was trying to grab Benny away from the other dog. The dog was so attached to Benny's ear, I didn't know what else to do, so I stopped doing it for a while. Amanda comes in.
I don't understand, you came in
They were in the hallway, and we have a picture of the hallway if you want to see it.
Okay, so you came out into the hallway.
Yeah, I heard it. Fortunately, I was just coming inside from taking my dog. I was with him. So I was still at the front door taking her leash off, and I heard everything. So I ran out to the hallway to try to help him get this dog off.
Okay, and what did you see when you entered the hallway?
Her dog, Gnarly, was trying to rip my dog's right ear off.
Where?
Like right in front of her door, which is right in front of the steps, at the top of the steps.
Okay, your story is different. Let me hear it.
On December 9th, I was going to take my dog out. My friend Jack was also with me. When I opened the door to the hallway, I saw Amanda carrying her smaller dog up the stairs. I said, hello, sorry. We try to keep the dog separated as much as possible. I closed the door back. My dog was in a heel position, and I looked out the peephole. The hallway was clear. When I opened the door once again, the dog did have a leash on, but there was no one holding the dog's leash. So it was just running up the hallway, completely unattended. I was inside my apartment with the door just slightly open. The dog entered into my apartment and began to fight my dog. My dog has injuries, and I also was bit during the attack.
You were taking the dog out?
Yes.
Why wasn't it muzzled?
I was still inside my apartment.
You were taking the dog out in a heeled position. Why wasn't your dog muzzled?
I was just checking the hallway to see if it was clear.
No, that's not what you... Okay, can I see the vet bills, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Now I'm going to address your counterclaim. Since I don't believe your story, I'm awarding them their vet bills, which are $442. You have a counterclaim. This is what your counterclaim is, that during the course of this kerfuffle with the 2 dogs, you were injured. Well, your dog should have had a muzzle. Then we wouldn't have had a problem. You also were suing them because until your lease is up, you have to board your dog because the landlord told you to get rid of the dog or you had to go, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you want them to pay the cost of boarding your dog for the next several months. That's also dismissed. $442. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
What about my hospital bills?
I just told you. That's your fault. Your dog should have been muzzled. We're done.
Party's unexcused. You may step out.
This dog entered into my apartment and attacked my dog and myself.
She lies about everything. Clearly, she couldn't even keep her story straight in court.
I was breaking up the dogs, and their dog bit me in the process.
Probably her own dog bit her, and she just wants someone to blame.
We don't talk much before or after the incident.
He's good. He's healed. He's happy.
As soon as my lease is up, I will be out.
The dog's out of sight, so we're a happy family.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Branscombe versus White Astorga. Step forward.
Janice, 22-year-old Audrey White, and her boyfriend, 24-year-old Christopher Astorga, for rent and the return of property.
Miss Branscombe, I assume this young man is your grandson.
Yes, he is.
And based upon reading in between the lines in here, he's been a little bit of a disciplinary problem.
Yes, most teenagers are.
And his parents told him to leave the house.
Yes.
He didn't come to live with you. He went to live with his stepsister and her boyfriend.
Yes.
And he went to live with them sometime the end of October, beginning of November? What date?
October the 10th.
According to you, gave them some money.
Yes.
Did you give them money in October?
Yes, we were paying $50 a week until the 1st of November.
In October. And in November, on November 1st, you gave them $250 to cover his expenses whenever he was living there because you are the payee of his disability.
Yes.
How much does he get from disability?
He was getting $733. Next month, it will be cut to $490.
But at that point, he was getting $733.
Yes.
And of the $733 for the month of October, you paid $150. For the month of November, you paid $250. Yes. And he left their home on November 18th. So this lawsuit is about the following. This lawsuit is about the days in November that he didn't live there. So you want those 12 days back of rent.
We're talking about November, the $250 that we paid for November.
He stayed there till November 18th.
Yes, but he didn't finish out the month.
I don't care. You get nothing for rent. Now let's move on to something else. Next part of your lawsuit is that you paid for certain things for him. He got his clothes back, is that right?
Your Honor, we tried many times for him to come get his things. He came at night, 12 o'clock at night with friends, and tried to get his things.
What things?
She had bought microwave and a coffee pot and crock pot and household item things.
Let's go to his clothes. Do you have any of his clothes at your house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Pack them up, send them back.
Yes, ma'am.
No.
Pack up, send back.
They're packed up and
ready to go.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, the text messages she sent me speak for themselves.
I'd like to see them.
This is my handwriting.
No, I don't want to see your handwriting. I want to see the text messages.
Your Honor, I would not let her come on my property because of the things she was saying to me.
Just a second. I don't care. Did you tell her at any time that you gave away the property, that you destroyed the property, that you didn't have the property?
Some of them you have to scroll down.
You are not welcome here. What's wrong with that? She doesn't want you there.
To read all the texts, please.
Will I?
Yes,
no.
please.
Show me where she says she doesn't have the clothes.
Where she doesn't have the clothes.
Correct. She says she has them. They're packed up. They're ready to go.
She says she has the clothes, but she will now not allow me to come on the property where I can retrieve those.
That's right. She doesn't want you to come on the property. If you want to pay for having her ship them someplace, you could do that. Do you want to pay? Do you want to pay?
More than willing to come and get them.
No, you can't. She doesn't want you on her property.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So a cable.
It's an HDMI cable?
I don't know. It's nonsense. Replace them. Say thank you for taking care of your pain-in-the-neck grandchild.
There's also a color television set involved.
Who asked you to say anything?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janice Branscombe says step-granddaughter Audrey White and boyfriend Christopher Astorga owe for rent and the return of property.
Now, she has the clothes You don't get the clothes unless you pay for the shipping.
I will be willing to pay for the shipping.
Great. How many boxes are there?
They're between 3 and 4.
So she will ship the clothes. Is that fair?
Yes, Your Honor.
Clothes. Now, other property, because you don't get rent, because that's nonsense. The other property that you bought, she says you bought a microwave, you bought a crock pot. What else?
It was a coffee pot and a toaster.
Listen to me. Microwave, crock pot, coffee pot, and a toaster.
A Blu-ray player.
Did she buy that?
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a 4-foot cable.
A what?
4-foot cable, coaxial cable that you have to connect the Blu-ray player to the TV.
So a cable.
It's an HDMI cable.
I don't know. It's nonsense. What else?
There was other cables also.
I don't care. Replace them. Say thank you for taking care of your pain-in-the-neck grandchild. Now, all those things she purchased when her grandson moved into your house, she wants them back. But those are big things. Are you willing to pay $200 to have those things shipped to you?
Yes, I am.
Fine. When she gets your money order for $275, she's going to send back your microwave, your crock pot, your coffee pot, a toaster, and the DVD player. Do you understand?
Yes.
Great. What do you want?
There's also a color television set involved.
I don't care. Who asked you to say anything?
Your Honor.
What?
It was a 32-inch smart TV.
$300 to have that moved?
Yes.
Just a second. So now, I want you to understand what you're agreeing to. Nobody else but you are going to pay $575 in a money order to them within 15 days?
Yes.
If you don't get the money order to her within 15 days, you've defaulted and all this stuff is going to stay with her. Do you understand?
Yes.
What?
While he was there, he broke our microwave, so we replaced our microwave with the one that he messed up with his.
Buy a new one.
Okay.
Get this done with.
Yes, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
He says it was a loan. He wants you to pay him back. So
Right.
what's the problem?
Problem is we thought that it was from the owner as a severance package.
That's not what you just told me. I mean, now you realized what you should have let her talk, actually.
Now we do.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janice Branscombe says step-granddaughter Audrey White and boyfriend Christopher Estorga owe for rent and the return of property.
Within 15 days, not business days, 15 days from today, if you don't receive in the mail a check for $575, she's defaulted and all the property belongs to you. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may step out.
He was very rude to us. When he left on his own.
She texted me numerous times that we were not allowed to come on her property.
I have 2 kids at home, and I will not allow violence on my property.
So I couldn't take the property without her permission to be on there.
You cannot pick family.
What goes around comes around.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Smith versus Pearson, step forward.
Dale Smith is suing his former co-worker, April Pearson, and her husband, Jack, for an unpaid loan to move.
Mr. Smith, you and the defendants at one point worked in the same mobile home park.
Yes, ma'am.
At some point, the defendants were let go. And according to you, after they were let go, they came to you and asked for a loan because they didn't have money to relocate anyplace else. And you gave them a loan in the amount of $1,000, expected to be repaid. Pearsons have not repaid you. They say, well, it really wasn't a loan. It was conscience money because you sort of subversively got them fired from the job. And you took over their job when they left. And this was sort of to salve your conscience, this $1,000. That's your defense. They have a ridiculous counterclaim, which I'm probably not even going to entertain, for conniving to get them fired. With whom did you have the conversation when Mr.
In the office at that time, and they found out that I had some extra money.
Let's get a date first.
This was on June 30th of 2016.
And when were you let go?
Around the 20th of June.
So 10 days before?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Who's going to speak for the two of you?
I will.
Fine. Tell me what happened when you went into the office on the 30th and you spoke to Mr. Smith.
Okay, actually it wasn't in the office. It was a situation where I was out in the park and I had been running frantically for 2 weeks trying to find a place to live with the owner of the property, promising money and saying we were going to get a severance pay package. So we were pretty much living from month to month up to that point. Then we found out that Dale had come to me and he'd said, because he knew we had 2 days left before the owner had asked us to be moved out.
The end of the month.
At the end of the month, yeah. So I was trying to find a place with no money because I'm on disability myself, and we completely depended upon her income. Her income had gotten cut off conveniently and more or less washed under the table that we had already been paid and this and that. Well, 2 months
Would
went...
you just tell me what happened?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Closed captioning sponsored by...
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on...
Would you just tell me what happened on June 30th?
June 30th, Dale had come to me and said, hey, I know you guys are in a bind. You're trying really hard to get out of here because we were trying to meet the dates and so forth. He says, you know what? I got some extra money. I can loan you some money if you need it. He actually offered me $2,000. And I said, no, we don't need that much. We only need enough to pay our deposit in the new place because we want to honor our agreement. He loaned us $1,000. We went to the new place, moved out on our date. At the time, like I said, I'm disabled, so she was working. I was stressed.
Just a second. So I got that. So what happened?
So we got the new place, then found out that this was more loan than it was. We thought it was our severance package.
No. You stated 3 times when you were telling me the story.
Yeah.
You said, listen, I have some extra money. I can loan you $2,000. And
Right.
you said, I don't need that much. So he said, all I need you to loan me is $1,000.
Right.
Right. Well, that's why he's here. He says it was a loan. He wants you to pay him back. So
Right.
what's the problem?
Problem is that we had felt, we thought that it was from the owner as a severance package.
That's not what you just told me. I mean, now you realized what you should have let her talk, actually.
Now we do.
You probably should have let her talk. It was judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. Your ridiculous counterclaim is dismissed. We're done. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Let me show them.
Step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Well, a lot of people can say whatever they want. You know, it's not a severance package.
Well, I think he went around behind other people's backs and was telling them a bunch of false stuff, which, you know, it's all right.
When you get fired, the owner was on the site with me.
I'm just glad I'm out of there.
Glad we're out of there.
That is over with.
He's the one that let him go, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Dan would loan money all the time.
It wasn't enough to have a generous boss.
So if he was a nice guy, Miss Smalley, then why did you steal from him? You were convicted of stealing from him.
Yes, ma'am, I was.
But the judge isn't feeling so charitable.
I made a mistake.
You made 2 mistakes. The second one is coming here and telling me the story.
Judge Judy.
You know that I'm not buying what you're saying to me, but I'm going to let you dig your hole.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Daniel Batson is suing his former employee, Vicki Smalley, and her husband, Ted, for an unpaid loan and late fees.
Order. All rise. It's case number 414 on the calendar in the matter of Batson versus Smalley.
Mr. Batson, Miss Smalley worked for you as an accountant.
A bookkeeper, yes.
Bookkeeper. In what kind of business?
I buy and sell all types of different used equipment that I purchase.
How long did Miss Smalley work for you?
Approximately 6 to 7 years.
Now, there came a time when she and her husband came to you for a loan.
Yes.
They don't deny that. When was that?
Approximately late 2013, 2014. I don't have the original date.
Do you remember when you came to him for the loan?
February 2014.
And how much money did he loan you?
$1,200.
Is that correct?
No.
How much?
I loaned them 2 different times for a total of $2,800.
Did you give them check or cash?
I gave them cash.
And they, at some point, started to pay you back?
Yes.
When?
October of 2014, I was given a check for $2,000, which did not go through. At that point...
And just, do you have that check?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it. And when you say it did not go through, it was dishonored by the bank?
Yes, it was returned for insufficient funds.
Okay. Now, Miss Smalley.
Yes.
Let's go back to you. I said, how much did you borrow?
Yes.
And you said $1,200.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you want to tell me why you wrote him a check for $2,000 and in your handwriting wrote partial payment?
That was a loan for a prior... Yes, it is.
No.
Yes, it is.
You mean you came to Mr. Batson and asked him for money on more than one occasion?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. You know that I'm not buying what you're saying to me, but I'm going to let you dig your hole. You understand?
Okay.
Okay. When was the first time you came and asked him for money?
5 or 6 years ago. I mean, Dan would loan money all the time, okay? If you were an employee, if you worked for Dan and you needed to borrow some money till the next payday, or you needed to borrow money...
And why did you steal from him? You were convicted of stealing from him.
Yes, ma'am, I was convicted of
So
forgery.
if he was a nice guy, Miss Smalley, and loaned all of his employees money when they needed it, and according to you, loaned you money on successive why'd you steal from him?
Actually,
you were convicted of stealing from him.
Yes, ma'am, I was. But it was...
So would you want to tell me why? No, first I asked the why.
I made a mistake.
You made 2 mistakes. The second one is coming here and telling me the story.
No, ma'am.
Because as part of your conviction, you were ordered to make restitution.
Yes.
Restitution is not for a loan. Criminal courts cannot order you to make restitution for a loan.
Right.
They can order you to make restitution for what you stole. So when the court ordered you to make restitution, which is your defense to this case, that they ordered me to make restitution, and I made restitution in the amount of $1,200, that covered the loan.
No, ma'am.
In your answer that you swore to, I was ordered to pay back all the money I owed him, so I paid him $1,200. Criminal court can't order you to pay back a loan. Let's start with that. They can order you to pay back what you stole. And they order you to pay back an amount certain, not pay him back what I owed. They ordered you to pay him back $1,200 because that's what you stole.
Actually, the amount in question on that is $658 and change.
Well, not in question. The criminal court ordered you to pay back as restitution what you stole in the amount of $1,200. It had nothing to do with the loan.
Right.
Now you're saying right. So how much does she owe you?
$1,300.
Did she make a... Just because I can't get a straight answer from her. She wouldn't know how to give a straight answer. She wouldn't know the truth if it slapped her in the face. You want to speak? You want to speak?
Yes, I do.
Great. Do you owe him $1,300?
No.
How many times did you ask him for money? How many times did you ask him for money?
One time.
One time. That's what he's here for. Not this baloney that your wife is talking about over a period of time. You asked him. That's what this case is about. The one time the two of you came to him and asked him for money.
That is correct.
Good. And look at me.
We had an incident occur where we were having a house problem with a large banking institution that is under suit.
I don't care. You were having financial trouble.
When we had to obtain a lawyer for this other incident. So we went to him to borrow $1,200 for a lawyer fee. That's all we borrowed was $1,200. We took him to dinner and borrowed $1,200 and not a penny more.
Listen to me. Just a second. So that's $1,200.
Correct.
On what date? Month and year.
Ma'am, I can't even tell you my birthday half the time.
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,300. We're done. Bunch of scammers.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
According to me, we borrowed $1,200 from Dan. We paid it back.
They had paid some of the money, but most of it was late.
The promissory note that he purportedly brought,
saying that I only loaned them $1,200, that's, I mean...
I also have a copy of and have proof that the signatures that are on it were not ours.
I've got a promissory note they both signed that said $2,800.
No, I think he's the bad guy.
I understand he's upset. He won't hear anything bad about his wife.
Because he's trying to get more back than what he was given, than what he gave.
But I'm not the one who started this. All I did was finish it.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Jones versus Locks.
Former friend, Ethan Locks, for an unpaid loan to pay legal fees.
Mr. Locks, when was the last time you were in jail?
2010, I believe, Your Honor.
Not since 2010?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever tell the plaintiff that you were going to jail?
No, ma'am.
Is that correct?
No, no.
How do you know him?
We had met because my granddaughter, we do horse shows, and we had sold a horse, and they didn't pay all the money they needed to for the horse, but they had 2 bikes. And his neighbor I buy hay from, and he told me that his kid was a champion motocross or whatever. So I called Clint and asked him to give me his number, see if he wanted the bikes for $3,000. I told him what kind of bikes they were, and he said he would take the bikes.
So you sold him some bikes?
2 bikes.
Okay. And when was that?
2011, 12, somewhere in there, I don't know.
Okay. When you sold him the 2 bikes for $3,000?
Yes.
Did he pay you?
Yes.
Great. This case is about what you claim was a loan
Correct.
that you made to him. And you made him the loan in what month and year?
September of 2015.
I'd like you to tell me the circumstances of the loan.
He had called me up and said that he had to go to jail and he needed some money. I think at that time he only wanted $1,000. I told him money. He called me back a few hours later and said he needed $5,000.
Had you had that kind of a relationship with the defendant that you felt as if it was appropriate for him to call you for that kind of money?
Well, he owns his own property out there. He has a nice track. His kid's a national champion in motocross. And me and my granddaughter used to go out there and watch him practice on the track he has at his house. So I got to know him fairly well, and we even went to lunch once anyway.
Okay, so then he called you back and asked you for $5,000.
Yes.
And?
So I gave him $5,000.
Do you have proof of that? It's not an answer. Do you have proof that you gave him $5,000?
No, I do not. I can tell you how I gave it to him, but I don't have proof that he did not give me a receipt.
Where did you get the money from?
When we race horses or we have our show horses, we have people with green cards are the only ones that'll shovel horse manure and so forth. I can't give them a check because if I do, they go to a check cashing place and they lose a lot of their earnings. So I have a slush fund at the ranch that we pay all the help that help us with the horse shows and the horse racing, and that's where I got the money. And plus, I go to an auction.
Is this your brother?
This is my brother. And he was giving me money to buy him a tractor because he owns a ranch about 7 miles from me in Pleasant Grove.
So what you're telling me is that you gave or tell you what he was going to jail for?
I asked him, and he did not answer me, so I didn't. I just thought it was DUI or something like that. I didn't know. I did not know.
What were you in jail for in 2010, Mr. Locks?
The case was dismissed.
What were you in jail for in 2010?
Having a tenant on my property who had a marijuana plants on the property, a rental.
Oh, I've been a lawyer for 50 years. I never heard of that was a violation of the penal law. You mean you were arrested for growing marijuana?
I was arrested for, they figured that the person was
don't
growing.
tell me what they figured. I don't want to know what they figured.
Yeah,
you
the
were
case was
arrested.
dismissed.
You were arrested for growing marijuana.
I don't recall the charges as growing marijuana. I believe it was for the guy possession of marijuana, which was dismissed.
So you were, I just want to know who I'm dealing with. So what you're telling me is you were arrested because somebody that you knew was in possession of marijuana.
No, I have 87 acres with 5 tenants on it. I live on one of the houses, and one of the back houses had marijuana, and the police had actually arrested everybody on the press.
So you were arrested for
possession of
marijuana?
Yes, yes, which was dismissed.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your bank statement would show me whether or not you had $5,000 in cash in the bank, right?
She wouldn't put the dollar
right.
in. She put a bunch of X's.
I don't care what she put in. Listen, you're there.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bill Jones says, former friend Ethan Locks owes for a loan to pay legal fees. Ethan is countersuing, claiming Bill failed to perform work he paid him for.
Now, did he ever give you your money back?
He gave it to me in a form of checks.
How much later?
A little over a year later. He gave me the money back in November, and I gave him the money a year earlier in September.
Do you have those checks with you?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at them. Okay, and when you went to try to cash these, he had put a stop payment on them, or?
The bank didn't tell me why. I went in, I walked into the bank because I didn't want to deposit them and then have them bounce and have to cost me money.
Just a second. Do you still maintain a bank at this Wells Fargo?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it the same account number?
Yes, I have letters from the bank for you showing.
I'd like to take a look at them.
Yes, Your Honor. One will show you I'm an outstanding, and that when I placed the stop payment was the final day when he didn't show up.
This letter is dated January 11th. It indicates that you currently have an account. Doesn't tell me what the what?
The account's been open since 2005, it says.
Yeah. It doesn't tell me how much money you had in there. It doesn't tell me how much money you had in there
the bank provided.
On September of 2016. You have a bank statement in September of 2016, sir.
And it shows that when I stopped the payments a month later.
I don't care. Your bank statement in September of 2016 would show me whether or not you had $5,000 in cash in the bank, right?
She wouldn't put the dollar in.
Right.
She put a bunch of X's.
I don't care what she put in. Listen, I'm slicker than you are. That's why I'm here and you're there. All you would have to bring to me is not a bunch of X's, is a bank statement showing me in September of 2016, when you wrote checks to him in the amount of $5,000, that you had $5,000 in the bank. That's easy.
I have texts as proof that he lost the $2,000 checks from him.
Just a second.
And then he got a second check.
Just a second. Would that be easy? Did you have $5,000 in the bank?
Yes, and overdraft.
So the answer is you didn't. Hey, slick. So the answer is you didn't have $5,000 in the bank.
I had more than $5,000, and I keep a balance of above.
That's not what I asked you. You said to me, in overdraft, you muttered, in overdraft. I said to you, did you have $5,000 in cash?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Good. We're going to come back here as soon as you get me Wells Fargo. Know them well. They're going to fax it right over to you. You're going to call them and authorize them to show me that in September of 2016, you had $5,000 in the bank.
Yes, sir.
Great. See you soon.
Okay.
This case will be recalled.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
My question to you, Mr. Jones, is as follows. Very careful with your answer. I want to know how I have two checks here, one for 2 and one for 3.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. In a case earlier today, Bill Jones says former friend Ethan Locks owes for a loan to pay legal fees. Ethan is countersuing, claiming Bill failed to perform work he paid him for.
To recall case 412 in the matter of Jones versus Locks.
Thank you.
Parties are reminded you're still under oath. You're welcome, Judge.
All right, Mr. Locks, you have a document for me?
I have a couple, Your Honor.
Well, I just need the one document that I asked you for, which was a bank statement that in September of 2016, when you wrote these checks, you had a $5,000 balance in your account.
I have $5,000 available, and which date was it?
No. I didn't say available. Was it $5,000 with a line of credit or without?
Papers from Wells Fargo and a statement from Wells Fargo, and them showing that the check.
I want to know what the balance was in your account.
At the beginning, balance was $6,265.35. But they state here that if anything was to be cashed or attempted to cash, that the overdraft, what they show here, had $9,000 available to it.
All I want to see is, want to look at your statement.
I understood, but I wasn't sure what exact date he said that he went to cash the checks, because I have text here saying that he didn't have the check, that it was misplaced. So I gave him a replacement check for $3,000.
Just, may I see the
one check was to replace the other.
Well, that's sort of odd, because something's just not reconciling with me. On September the 15th, you gave him a check for $2,000.
With no name on it.
Just a second. Correct. That was check number 269.
Correct.
1 week later, you gave him a check, according to your checks, 118.
Correct. I have multiple checkbooks that I write up. One is my ranch and one is my house in Mill Valley, where I stay at. And that's where I had been. So I left the check for him there at the ranch to pick up. If you take time and you read our texts with each other, he states in there that he was going to deliver gravel and never showed up. And the money was for gravel.
First, would you let me see the bank statement?
Sure. Yes, ma'am. Here's the bank statements and other stuff the bank asked to give to you. And if you continued it, they would give you a letter showing the checks were never scanned or attempted to be cashed. Here's proof he also received money towards the gravel, which he never showed up at the road base.
I don't know who he's talking to. So on September the 15th, which is the first day you wrote the check, you had an ending daily balance of $510.52.
With $9,000 overdraft.
That's what it says. On the day you wrote him the check for $2,000, you had a balance in your account of $510.52. I've circled it. It says ending balance.
Correct.
On the 23rd, when you wrote him allegedly a replacement check,
which is true,
you had an ending balance of $359.18. That's your balance. That's what your bank says.
Okay. And the overdraft balance?
Listen, we discussed hours ago when I sent you to your bank. I said, did you have the money in your account? And you muttered under your breath with overdraft. And I said, don't tell me overdraft, and my hearing isn't so good. I said, did you have, without the overdraft, over $5,000 in your account? And you said yes.
In the month of September, it's true.
No, that's not. Hey, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, Your Honor, if I wouldn't have answered that way and brought you documents of that, nor would I bring you documents showing that the money agreed to deliver the gravel.
I did not.
Now, my question to you, Mr. Jones, is as follows. Very careful with your answer.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, I want to know how I have 2 checks here, one for 2 and one for 3.
When I first, his friend or where I buy my hay said that he'd saw him, that he was out of jail and they'd seen him, so blah, blah. So I went over to his house and I asked him to pay me the $5,000 that he owed me, that I'd loaned him. And he went into his house, he came out with 1 check. And he told me that that's all he had, but if I come back within a week or less, he would have the rest of the money. So I waited, and then I went back, and he gave me that check. So then I took the checks, and I walked them to the bank. The bank said they could not cash them and didn't tell me why.
Does your brother know anything about this transaction from his personal information or just what you told him?
No, the only reason he's here is because we wanted to know where I got the money, and he had money in the account.
Listen. Anybody who tells me that they're paying people under the table to do work because they don't have a green card is not going to lie to me about why you pay in cash. but that would actually not have been one of them. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. We're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Counterclaim is dismissed.
Excuse me, step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Well, I'm very happy. She made the right decision.
It is what it is. Stories, people tell stories and what they are and what goes on in life.
My feeling is if you tell the truth, you don't have to make up a lot of stories.
He said he lost 1 check. The proof is in the text messages.
Because he wouldn't pay me back. He told me to take a hike when I went to get my money back.
But hopefully in the long run, everybody will learn their lesson and you need to get a contract.
No more loans. Absolutely no more loans.
I had went to peacefully try to resolve and getting my television back.
How do you peacefully resolve it? You know I'm not believing you, right?
A former friend set in return.
How did you get her address?
A mutual friend of ours had provided it.
You stalked me.
Does she also have trouble with the truth?
Being the friend that she was, I had...
You're making up a story now because I can tell. That's my gift.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom. Up is Judge Judy.
Troyana Rodriguez is suing her former friend, 23-year-old Nishaya Swindeman, for the return of a TV, a broken phone, and gas money.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 397 on the calendar, the matter of Rodriguez versus Swindeman. Good, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Rodriguez, what I read is a complaint that suggests that you and the defendant, who were friends and perhaps in a relationship for a brief period of time, had a falling out. And during the time that you were friends, whatever relationship that was, according to your complaint, you brought a television set that was yours to the defendant's house.
Yes.
When did you do that?
That was in June of 2016, excuse me.
Is that right?
No.
When was it?
It was June of 2015.
That sound right?
No.
Okay. To what address did you take the television set? To what address did you take the television set? You know the address?
It would have been in the Powderhorn community.
August of 2015.
Got it?
Yes.
So it was 2015. And in what month and year did you ask her for the television back?
I asked her back for the television in July of 2016.
Why was that so difficult for you to tell me?
It was a little bit of confusion with the...
Well, that's no confusion. If you insisted that it was June of 2016 and you asked for it back a month later, well, that sounds to me as if it was perhaps a loan for some reason, which we'll get into. If she had the television for over a year, it may suggest something else. Do you understand? So let's try to give me answers that are truthful rather than those that create a story for you.
Yes,
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Now, in what month and year did you purchase this television set?
The television set was purchased back in August of 2011.
So now the television in August of July or August of 2016 would have been 5+ years old.
Correct.
And tell me what kind of television this was.
It was a Philips Eco 32 LED.
And do you have a receipt for that television?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to take a look at it.
there's that. And then that is the credit card statement in which I purchased the TV.
No, I just want to see receipt for it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you purchased this dollars, and when you brought it over to her house, it was 4 years old.
Yes.
Now, where were you living at the time?
I was living at my parents'.
And where was this television?
The television was at my home. When I was staying with them, I had purchased another TV, so it was an extra spare TV.
And your parents had their own TVs?
Yes.
So this was one that you were not using?
Right. It was
one that you were not using?
Correct.
You upgraded. Now, I want you to tell me the circumstance, because now you want the TV back. Had a kerfuffle. I'm not interested in an awful lot here. This is the main thing that creates this lawsuit. So, according to you, she asked to borrow it?
Yes.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding her asking to borrow the TV.
The circumstances were that she could, being the friend that she was, I had...
You're making up a story now because I can tell. That's my gift.
Okay.
That's my gift.
All right. She asked to borrow the TV, in which I agreed upon. When I asked for it back, though, I expected it to be returned.
Even you don't believe that. I said, what were the circumstances? You know I have friends. And sometimes if I go to their house, I'll bring a bottle of rosé. I'll bring a bundt cake. But I actually have someone's house. Now, I've upgraded televisions over a period of time. Sometimes you move and you say, well, you know, this one was fine, but I could use a bigger one. And you have all these old TVs that are worth zero.
Sure.
A 4-year-old TV that you bought 4 years ago is worth zero. If you went to sell it, you'd be able to sell it for $25, maybe at a flea market. So now, since I don't believe you, I'm going to ask her the circumstances surrounding you bringing over the television set. Got it? Go.
I actually did not ask her for the television set. We were very close friends at the time. We had this thing where we made candy for shows we went to, which is like the beaded bracelets. She used to come over all the time because she was, I call her an almost functioning alcoholic, where she'd get off of work and have nowhere to go, so she'd come to my tiny house and get drunk there. She just came over one day with a TV in hand and a box of beads, and that was the last that...
Well, did you ask her why she brought the TV?
She said because we didn't have like an adequate Netflix, or we couldn't watch things together, so she brought over an entire TV.
What kind of TV did you have in your house?
I think I had like a computer screen monitor. It was maybe smaller than the one in the corner there.
And when she came over for the next year, did you watch TV on this TV?
Yeah. She was at my house several times. She had my spare key. She used the TV at my house as well.
I never had a spare key to your house.
Yeah, that's a lie.
Never.
Listen to me.
Yes. It was the last time I saw it.
Where is the TV now?
She introduced me to my last boyfriend, and it was a very abusive relationship. He tried to kill me, so I just left everything in the home. I don't know what happened after that.
And when did that happen?
That was March of 2016.
And after March of 2016, you had no contact with this television, with this 32-inch television.
Exactly.
When was the argument you had with the plaintiff?
June of 2016.
June, after that. So I assume that you were still friends before that.
We were still friends on the basis of people knew our relationship together, and they came to me every time she was in an alcoholic binge. Or
I just wanted, did you have contact with her?
Yes.
You did. Were you aware that she had been in a relationship with someone that terminated? Just look at me. Don't think of how this is going to help your story.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Want me to repeat the question?
Yes, ma'am.
So you can process it.
Yes. No.
Were you aware that she had been in a relationship with a man that terminated?
Yes, I had introduced them to each other.
So you were aware that in March of 2016 she left that relationship?
It was actually February.
Before?
Yes.
Great. And did you know where she went to live?
She didn't go anywhere. She actually still lived in that apartment put against him. So all of his belongings were still in the home that they lived in on University, the home that I actually continuously went to, and my TV was still there.
She says she hasn't seen the TV since March of 2016. Is that right?
I moved out of the house in August, but I feel like all of his stuff has started, like he had a police escort come and start taking his things around June. I feel like it might have been May, actually.
Okay. You don't have the TV anymore?
No.
And the TV has no value. So I actually don't believe you that this was a loansy. I think that you got a new TV. This TV was valueless. Even if it had a value, today's value, maybe today's value a year later, maybe somebody would buy it at a garage sale for 25 bucks. I'm not awarding you anything. Okay, let's go to the next item of business. The next item of business is a cell phone. Now, I want you to be careful, Miss Rodriguez, because so far I didn't believe the first story you told me. So that makes your testimony suspect. You want to tell me the day and date first that your cell phone got broken.
It was October 6th.
October 6th, what year?
2016.
Where?
It was at her apartment. Her different apartment. She had moved to Powderhorn.
Now I'm going to ask you a really important question, Ms. Rodriguez. Easy enough to verify. In October of 2016, when you were in the defense... Right. Perfect.
No.
Perfect.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She told you to get out. I don't have your TV.
She basically dragged me outside.
Did she tell you to leave her home?
No.
You mean she was pushing you out the door, not telling you to get out?
No.
Ms. Rodriguez? I don't believe you.
And later today...
He has the right of way, and you were making a left turn and cut him off.
He was behind the truck, and he went around the truck like a bat out of hell and hit me. The truck even waved me out because I was
He has the right of way.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Troyana Rodriguez says former friend Nashaya Swindeman owes for a TV, a broken phone, and gas.
You want to tell me what you were doing at her house on October 6th?
I had went to peacefully try to resolve and getting my television back. My sister had gone off to college, and I had wanted to give her that TV to use during college.
Okay, but you didn't see the TV there.
I didn't see it there.
Right.
I tried to peacefully resolve.
Well, how do you want to peacefully resolve it? How do you peacefully resolve it? You know I'm not believing you, right?
Correct.
You know I'm not believing you. Okay. So you got to the house. When immediately preceding October 6th, had you gone to the... October 6th was the first day you were ever at her new apartment?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. How did you get her address?
A mutual friend of ours had provided it.
Okay.
You
now,
stalked me.
Now, let me go back a second to this other nonsense that you're suing her for, which is gas money.
Sure.
Okay. Now, tell me when you believe she owes you money for what trip? When did you go on a trip that she owes you gas money for?
We had went to
a... Day and date.
We had went on a trip in June of 2016 to a festival in Michigan.
June 2016. Okay. And who drove?
I did.
So you picked her up?
Yes.
Did she go into the house?
No.
Let's get back to the phone. October 6, 2016, you went to her house to, according to you, resolve the issue of the TV, which you didn't see in the house. And?
It went very, very badly.
Well, no, I want you to tell me what happened. You went in there and you said to her, she said to you, did you call first before you went over?
No.
So you went over unannounced. What time?
It would have been at 4 p.m.
It was later than that.
What time?
I think it was like 5:36. I was just getting off of work.
Okay, keep going.
So I had gone in, she had let me into the apartment, in which a fight escalated. She had...
No, I want you to tell me what you said to her and what she said to you.
That I sent her. It had been a really long time. All I would like is for my TV back. I would like to be done with this friendship and to call it quits after that. She didn't like that fact, so then it escalated into a scuffling match where she actually physically dragged me out of the apartment.
Are you telling me that at that time she didn't say to you, I don't have your TV?
Yes, that's what she told me. I didn't see it in her apartment.
And you said to her,
Oh,
just a second, don't make it up. She said to you, I don't have your TV. Look around my apartment. I don't have your TV anymore. And what did you say to her?
It just basically, I just started announcing that I was really upset with the fact of that she would be this spiteful towards me when I was being nothing but helpful.
What were you being helpful about?
Helpful by letting her use my TV, transporting her to the TV.
You gave her the TV a year before. You changed your mind.
I didn't give her the TV.
Okay. Yes, you did.
No, I
okay,
didn't.
So you come in, you see there's no TV. She says, I don't have your TV anymore. What else were you fighting about, Miss Rodriguez?
It was just that specifically, how spiteful that she was in this entire relationship. Friendship. Oh, heck.
Don't.
I don't swing that way.
Don't speak to
Not my type.
Just a second. Don't.
Excuse me? Sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
Did she ever tell you that she would pay for the damage to the car?
She actually made a down payment of $200.
That wasn't for the car.
What was it for?
She was harassing me, texting me over and over and over.
That's ridiculous.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Troyana Rodriguez says former friend Nashia Swindeman owes for a TV, a broken phone, and gas.
Go ahead.
I had recited that she had been very spiteful. That
I heard she'd been very spiteful. Okay, and she told you to get out. I don't have your TV.
And then it started turning into a shoving
Well,
match.
how did that come about? She told you, get out, I don't have your TV. You had to leave.
No, she kept throwing a lot of slurs at me. She kept pushing me and shoving me, and then eventually it just got into a scuffling match where she basically dragged me outside. She went back into the apartment, came out with my phone, threw it, hit the pavement, shut the door.
Did she tell you to leave her home?
No.
You mean she was pushing you out the door, not telling you to get out?
No.
Ms. Rodriguez? I don't believe you. I don't think I'm ever going to figure out exactly what this case is about, and quite frankly, I don't care. I'm not wasting another second worth of time over a 5-year-old television set that you gave her as a gift. We're done. Your case is dismissed.
Officer, excuse me, step out.
She had an alcoholic problem. I just really needed this to be over.
I used to be, but I got off of that bandwagon, and now I'm sober.
It was a dark time. She was a different person then.
You know, good riddance, have a nice life, and you move on.
I just want her to leave me alone.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hebert versus Cry. Step forward.
Cassandra Hebert is suing motorist Nina Cry for damages to her car caused by an accident on the road.
Miss Cry, you loaned your car to probably this person back in 2015, and there was a car accident. You were not in the car, is that correct?
I was driving his car.
You were not in the car?
Correct.
On the date of the accident, stand up, please. On November 15th, 2015, who was your insurance company?
It was Farmers.
And was the car fully insured on that date?
Yes.
Great. You can have a seat. Tell me about the accident.
On November 2015, I let Aaron borrow my car to go pick up a friend.
You lent him the car?
Yes, ma'am.
So you weren't driving?
No.
You weren't in the car?
No.
Sit down. You were driving?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you living together at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you still living together?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you rent a room?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm do heating and air conditioning.
Okay.
Okay, this is me here in the orange car. I was about 40 feet back here. Miss Cry was over here on Juniper Street. I was doing about 35 miles an hour on the main street, headed east, when this truck here slowed down and was going to take a right, but she couldn't turn onto the street here, so I was still in the inside lane here and was going to pass the truck, and she pulled out, and I hit her right in the driver's side door.
So, go back there. Tell me your last name.
West.
Mr. West, so what you're telling me is you couldn't see past the truck.
Correct.
And she says that the truck waved you on to go around him.
No, that was Miss Cry.
The truck waved me out to go out. I was in the clear.
Because the truck couldn't make the turn?
Because he was behind the truck.
But I wasn't behind the truck.
You didn't see him behind the truck.
I saw him behind the truck.
No, you
far
didn't see him behind the truck.
That's why
The
I thought I was in the clear.
You were so go over there. The truck told you to make a turn.
I was coming out trying to make a left.
No. You're pointing to trees. You were coming out from where to make a turn?
Off Juniper to take a left on the start.
You were coming to an intersection. You wanted to make a turn, so the person going straight has the right of way.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a that's a yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So made a left turn, cutting him off.
No, he was behind the truck, and the truck even saw that he was behind me. That's why the
don't
truck...
tell me what the truck saw.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, he has the right of way, and you were making a left turn and cut him off. That's what it looks like.
He was behind the truck.
He can't be behind. How could he be behind the truck?
Because he was behind the truck, and he went around the truck like a bat out of hell and hit me. The truck even waved me out. The truck even waved me out because I was in the clear.
He has the right of way. Okay, go back. Okay, is there a police report?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it. Vehicle 1 was turning left, and vehicle 2, that was your vehicle, going straight forward.
Correct.
Can I see pictures of the car, please?
Yes. I also have this paper from her insurance company at the time that states that we were not at fault.
I'd like to see it. You have anything from your insurance company?
It's just our insurance, the policy.
I'd like to see it. What kind of car is your car?
A Mazda 626, 2002.
Would you look it up for me, Bert? Did you ever tell them that you would pay for the damage to the car?
No.
Did she ever tell you that you would pay for the damage to the car?
She actually made a down payment of $200.
When?
In December of 2015.
That wasn't for the car.
What was it for?
It's because she was saying that she had a kid and lost her job and...
What did you didn't know her before this accident?
She was harassing me, texting me over and over and over.
That's ridiculous. What's the car worth?
$1,250.
Where's the car now?
It got scrapped.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,250. We're done. Thank you.
Oh, excuse me. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
It was pretty fair.
Just to be more cautious.
That was